ci àdduna bi wërngal képp di ñaan yàlla nangul ñu ko incha allah rabbi kon bu leen ko kenn nettali incha allah ci weekend bi rek ngeen ñëw ñu ñëpp ñu bokk ko ndax ñu àndandoo tasaare njàngalem Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Xaadimu Rasool ci àdduna bi wërngal képp asalaamaaleykum wa rahmatullahi taala wa barakatuhu allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa mawlana muhammad auzu billahi minash shaitani rajim bismillahi rahmani rahim rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa mawlana muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, my name is Bineta Diop and I am here today to invite you to join us on an international forum on the diaspora of Al-Muridiyya, organized by the Daira ANSAR from Italy and all throughout the world, all the members of the Daira ANSAR, inshallah. This forum will be held this weekend, Friday, September 10th, from Friday, September 10th to Sunday, September 12th, 2021. And this will be the second edition of this forum, very important forums. We will have 2 daily sessions on each day. The sessions will start from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Italy time, and the second session will be from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. still on Italian time, inshallah. So in order for us to move forward throughout the day, we have selected each day with one theme in order to be able to share as much as we can with our followers, inshallah. So on day 1, which will be Friday, September 10th, 2021, we will be discussing the ongoing efforts made thus far in order to preserve and authenticate the writings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasul, his Qaça'id, inshallah. For the second day, on day 2, which will be the Saturday, September 11th, 2021, we will be discussing the role of Sheikh Bamba J in spreading the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba throughout the Murid diaspora and throughout the world. MashaAllah, a great reference for all of us, inshallah. And finally, on day 3, on that Sunday, we will be addressing the following questions. What it means to be, what is the path of Al-Muridiyya? What are the characteristics of a sheikh? And what are also the characteristics of a Taliban, inshallah. So the program will be as follows. For the first day, we will have a welcoming remarks by Sister Elisabetta Acerbi from Italy. We'll also have a first session moderated by Serigne Pape Dembaja, Sokhna Alice Fatima said, and this will be made in Wolof. And the speakers for that session will be Professor Mohamed Galanjai and Serigne Abdullah Fahmi in French, Serigne Moussa Jenkala, Serigne Khadim Njai in Wolof. For the second part, the second session that will start from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. On that session, it will be moderated by Sheikh Mbake Mboup, and the speakers are Serigne Chouhaib Kebe, Serigne Sam Bousso, Serigne and Dr. Khadim Lo, Serigne Ahmadou Mbake. The contributors will be Serigne Mohamedou Mbake, Serigne Murtala Silla, Serigne Abdullahi Bousso, the Professor Hassan Gueye, and Serigne Mamoun Njai. On day 2, which will be the Saturday, September 11th, 2021, the program is as followed. We will have a tribute for Sheikh Abdullah J made by Maimuna Virginia, Sokhna Maimuna Virginia, and the first session will be moderated by Serigne Jibril Ndao and Sokhna Fatima, Alice Fatima. We will have as speakers Serigne Sheikh Bamba J, Serigne Sheikh Sidi J, Serigne Mustafa Jatara, Serigne Mbakiyu Faye, and Dr. Khadim Bamba Jagne. That will be followed by testimonials about Sheikh Abdullah J from Serigne Sheikhuna Bamba Falilu, Etienne Judor Mariama, Mohammed Iqbal Abdallah, Nancy Leidig of the United States of America, inshallah. And the second session that will happen from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. we will have contributions from Professor Hassan Mboup, Serigne Khadim Mbake Abbas, Serigne Jili Ba Majalis, Professor Murtada Mboup, and it will be followed by testimonials from Serigne Jamil Juhor, Sokhna Mam Fazul Rahima, Sokhna Rajiana Musa, Sokhna Alia Sayid Guljar from Île Maurice, Serigne Bay Rafih of Mauritius. And on the third day, we will have our session moderated by me, Sokhna Saliha Binta Saliha Diop, Sokhna Angela Mambuso of Italy, inshallah. The speakers on the third day will be Serigne Moustapha Mbake Gaynde Fatma, Serigne Abdul Mbake Murtada, Serigne Lamine Mbake Cherno, the Professor Djibi Diagne, inshallah. We will also have contributions made by Serigne Gora Diop, Serigne Khadim Bamba Diagne, and Serigne Yahya Coates, inshallah. So thank you so much. We are looking forward to meeting all of you and sharing this beautiful platform in working on preserving the work of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba and spreading it accurately all throughout the world, inshallah. So we invite you to come join us, be a participant, and be able to share the khidmah with us all throughout the world, inshallah. And together we can further the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasul. Thank you so much, and we are looking forward to meeting you this weekend from September 10th, 2021 to September 12th, 2021, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa sallim. Mina shaytani rajim. Bismillahi rahmani rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Chers frères et sœurs en islam, nous vous présentons le Forum international sur la diaspora mouride organisé par la Daïra ANSAR des Italies, la 2e édition. Ce sera ce week-end du vendredi 10 septembre au dimanche 12 septembre 2021 avec 2 sessions journalières. Une première partie qui commencera de 15h à 17h heure d'Italie et une deuxième partie qui commencera de 20h à 23h heure d'Italie, Inch'Allah. Voici les thèmes de discussion durant le forum. Le vendredi, le thème sera quels sont les dispositifs permettant d'authentifier et de préserver les écrits de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasoul, ses Qaça'id. Pour le samedi, on discutera le rôle de Cheikh Abdoulaye Bamba Dièye dans la vulgarisation de la pensée de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasoul au sein de la diaspora mouride. Alhamdulillah. Pour le dimanche, nous discuterons qu'est-ce que la Mouridia, quelles sont les véritables caractéristiques d'un maître spirituel et aussi d'un disciple, Inch'Allah. Le programme sera comme suit. Pour la première journée du vendredi 10 septembre, nous aurons des mots de bienvenue de Elisabetta Acerbi, une première partie qui sera modérée par Pape Dembadja et Alice Fatima Sen. Nous aurons aussi comme intervenants professeur Mohamedou Galaye Ndiaye, Serigne Abdallah Fahmi, Serigne Moussa Djenkala, Serigne Khadim Ndiaye. Pour la deuxième partie, qui sera modérée par Cheikh Mbake Mboup, nous aurons comme intervenants Serigne Chouaib Kebe, Serigne Sambousso, Dr Khadim Lo et Serigne Ahmadou Mbake. Les contributeurs seront Serigne Mohamedan Mbake, Serigne Murtada Silla, Serigne Abdoulahi Bousso, professeur Hassan Gueye, Serigne Mamoun Ndiaye. Et pour la deuxième journée du samedi 11 septembre 2021, nous aurons des mots d'accueil et hommage à Cheikh Abdoulaye Dièye par Sokhna Maïmouna Virginia. Une première partie de table ronde modérée par Djibril Ndao et Alice Fatima. Pour les intervenants, nous aurons Serigne Cheikh Bamba Dièye, Serigne Cheikh Sidi Dièye, Serigne Moustapha Diatara, Serigne Mbakiyou Faye, Dr Khadim Bamba Diagne. Et nous aurons des témoignages de Serigne Cheikhouna Bara Fallilou, Etienne Judor Mariama, Mohamed Iqbal Abdallah, Nancy Leidig des États-Unis. Pour la deuxième partie, les contributions viendront de Pape Hassan Mboup, Serigne Khadim Mbake Abbas, de Serigne Djili Majalis, du professeur Murtala Mboup. Pour les témoignages, nous aurons M. Serigne Jamil Djouhor, Mam Fazul Rahima, Rajiana Moussa, Alia Saïd Gouljar, Bay Rafer des îles Maurice. Pour la troisième journée, la première partie sera une table ronde modérée par moi-même, Sokhna Binta Saliha Diop et Sokhna Angela Mambousso. Les intervenants seront Serigne Moustapha Mbake Gaïndé Fatma, Serigne Abdou Mbake Murtala, Serigne Lamine Mbake Tcherno et professeur Djibi Diagne. Pour les contributions, nous aurons Serigne Gore Diop, Dr Khadim Bamba Diagne et Serigne Yahya Kots. Pour la deuxième partie, qui sera toujours modérée par moi, Sokhna Binta Saliha Diop et Serigne Moustapha Lo. Pour les contributions, nous aurons professeur Morloum, Serigne Mohamed Sissé, Serigne Yankoba Badiane, Serigne Daouda Bakayoko, Sokhna Maguette Silla, Serigne Victorio Abdourahman, Serigne Moustapha Koki, Serigne Cheikh Fatma Mbake, Serigne Omar Ba et Serigne Sidi Ndiaye. Nous espérons tous vous compter parmi nos participants pour une vulgarisation du rythme de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul partout dans le monde. Merci et partagez cette vidéo et nous vous donnons rendez-vous ce week-end du vendredi 10 septembre au dimanche 12 septembre 2021 pour un plateau plein d'informations sur les Qaça'id de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul, le rythme qui se propage partout dans le monde et surtout les caractéristiques d'un cheikh et aussi d'un disciple, Inch'Allah. Merci beaucoup à tous les membres de ANSAR. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu, queridos hermanos y hermanas en Islam. Presentamos el coloquio internacional sobre la diáspora mourida, organizado por la Daira ANSAR de Touba, Italia, la segunda edición. Estará en este fin de semana, el viernes 10 de septiembre 2021 al domingo 12 de septiembre 2021, con 2 sesiones diarias. La primera sesión estará desde las 3 de la tarde hasta las 5 de la tarde, hora de Italia, y la segunda sesión será desde las 8 de la noche hasta las 11 de la noche, hora de Italia también, inshallah. Aquí están los temas de discusiones durante el coloquio. Por el viernes vamos a discutir cuáles son los dispositivos que permiten de autenticar y asegurar los escritos de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul, sus Qaça'idos. El sábado vamos a discutir el papel de Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye en las enseñanzas de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul, en compartiendo las enseñanzas de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul dentro de la diáspora. Y finalmente, el domingo vamos a discutir qué es la mouridiyya, cuáles son las características reales de un maestro espiritual y también de un discípulo. El programa será el siguiente. Para el primer día, el viernes 10 de septiembre, tendremos palabras de bienvenidas por Elisabetta Acerbi. La primera parte será moderado por Papa Demba Dia y Sokhna Alice Fatima Sen. Tendremos como oradores el profesor Mohamed Galanjai, Serigne Abdallah Fahmi, Serigne Moussa Dieng Kala, Serigne Khadim Ndiaye. La segunda parte será moderado por Cheikh Bamba Mboup y tendremos como oradores Serigne Chouaib Kebe, Serigne Sam Bousso, Dr Khadim Lo, Serigne Mohamed Ahmadou Mbacké, y las contribuciones serán de Serigne Mohamedan Mbacké, Serigne Murtala Silla, Serigne Abdoulaye Bousso, el profesor Hassan Gueye y Serigne Mamoun Ndiaye. Para el segundo día, que va a ser el sábado 11 de septiembre 2021, tendremos palabras de bienvenidas y tributo a Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye por Sokhna Maimouna Virginia. La primera parte será moderado por Serigne Djibril Ndaw y Sokhna Alice Fatima. Y por los oradores serán Serigne Cheikh Bamba Dieye, Serigne Cheikh Sidi Dieye, Serigne Moustapha Diatara, Serigne Mbakiyu Faye, el doctor Khadim Bamba Diagne. Después tendremos testimonios por Serigne Cheikhouna Bara Falilou, Sokhna Etienne Judor Mariama, Serigne Mohamed Iqbal Abdallah, Sokhna Nancy Leidig de los Estados Unidos. Por la segunda parte del día vamos a tener contribuciones del profesor Hassan Mboup, del señor Khadim Mbacké Abbas, Serigne Khadim Mbacké Abbas, Serigne Djiliba Majalis, del profesor Murtala Mboup. También tendremos testimonios de Serigne Jamil Juhor, Sokhna Mam Fazul Rahima, Sokhna Rajiana Moussa, Sokhna Aliya Saïd Guljar y Serigne Bay Rafi del Mauricio. En el tercer día, el domingo 12 de septiembre 2021, la primera parte será moderado por yo, Sokhna Binta Saliha Diop, y mi hermana Angela Mambuso de Italia. Los oradores serán Serigne Moustapha Mbacké Gaynde Fatma, Serigne Abdou Mbacké Murtala, Serigne Lamine Mbacké Thierno y el profesor Serigne Djibi Diagne, con las contribuciones de Serigne Gore Diop, el doctor Khadim Bamba Diagne y Serigne Yahya Coates. Por la segunda parte del día, los moderadores serán yo, Sokhna Binta Saliha Diop, con el señor Serigne Moustapha Lo, y las contribuciones serán del profesor Morlum, del Serigne Mohamed Cissé, Serigne Yankoba Badiane, Serigne Daouda Bakayoko, Sokhna Maguette Silla, Serigne Victorio Abdourahmane, Serigne Moustapha Diop Koki, Serigne Cheikh Fatma Mbacké, Serigne Omar Ba y Serigne Sidi Ndiaye. Muchas gracias por todos los miembros del Daira ANSAR y esperamos contar en ustedes para compartir esos días con nosotros y juntos vamos a aprender cómo participar en la popularización del Khidma de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul en todo el mundo, inshallah. Muchas gracias y assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته mbokki jullit yi mbokki taalibe yi man seen sœur may ñëw tey soxna Binta di leen yëgal forum international sur la diaspora mouride bi nga xamante ni waa daayira ANSAR àdduna wërngal képp waaye soqi ko fële ci Italie ñoo leen koy indil muy deuxième édition bi incha allah ñu fas yéene ko def nag week-end bi ñu jëm si incha allah fas yéene ko tàmbali ci àjjuma bi def ko ci samedi bi ak dimanche bi chaque jour rek muy tàmbali 15h di jeex 17h pour première session bi heure d'Italie waaye aussi deuxième session bi di tàmbale 20h di jeex 23h ba tey ci heure d'Italie incha allah chaque jour rek ñu fas yéene leen indil ñaari session macha allah session yi nag ñu ngi ko fas yéene tënk di ci waxtaanee ay tomb yu am solo ci àjjuma bi fas yéene nañoo waxtaane tomb bi nga xamante ni mooy ana càkkutéef yi nga xamante ni jël nañ ko ngir ñoŋal mbindum Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul ak li nga xamante ni ki ni mooy organisation ba ca war authentification ba ca war lépp rek ñu fas yéene ko waxtaane mu jëm ci xaside yi Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul bi ci àjjuma ba. waaye ci gaaw bi ñu fas yéene waxtaane taxawaayu Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye ci yoonu murit waaye tamit tasaare bi nga xamante ne tasaare na ko liggéeyub Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul ak ay njàngaleem àdduna wërngal képp. dimanche bi nag ñu fas yéene waxtaane li nga xamante ni moom mooy ana lan mooy murit yoonu murit bi lan mooy xàmmeekaay yi nga xamante ni képp kuy door a ñëw ci yoon wi wala nga tuub ñëw ci yoon wi xàmmeekaay yooyu war nga ko mën a xam ba boo duggee ci yoon wi pour tette la ci dafay yomb. waaye itam ñu bëgg leen wan tamit lan mooy xàmmeekaayu ana kan mooy sëriñ bi ana kan mooy cheikh bi nga xamante ni moo la war a tette ci yoon bi. waaye tamit ñu bëgg aussi waxtaane xàmmeekaayu melokaan yi nga xamante ni moom la taalibe bi war a mën a am ngir yombal li nga xamante ni ki ni moom mooy compréhension bi war a am ci ki nga xamante ni ku bees la ci yoonu murit. programme bi nag nii lañ ko fas yéene tëralee ci àjjuma bi ñu fas yéene jël ay kaddu dalal fas yéene koo def waaye ki ñu koy defal nag mooy soxna Elisabetta ANSAR bi moo fas yéene def kaddu dalal yooyu. ci pàcc bu njëkk bi ki ñu koy modéreel mooy Serigne Pape Demba Dia ak soxna Alice Fatima Sène. bu boobaa itam dinañ am ay intervenant yi di doon professeur Mouhamadou Galay Ndiaye Serigne Abdallah Fahmi Serigne Moussa Dieng Kala ak Serigne Khadim Ndiaye. deuxième partie bi ki ñu koy modéreel mooy Serigne Cheikh Mbacké Mboup waaye bu boobaa itam intervenant yi dina doon Serigne Chouaib Kébé Serigne Sam Bousso docteur Khadim Lo ak Serigne Ahmadou Mbacké. contributeurs yi nag dinañ doon Serigne Mouhamadan Mbacké Serigne Mourtada Silla Serigne Abdoulahi Bousso professeur Assane Gueye ak Serigne Mamoun Ndiaye. donc loolu moom mooy bis bu njëkk bi nga xamante ni dañu war a waxtaanee ana nu ñuy def ba ñoŋal mbindum Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul classifié ko organiser ko muy xasida Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul yi. ñu ñëw ci ñaareelu fan bi di le 11 septembre 2021 bu boobaa dinañ am ay mots accueil ak hommage di sargal ki nga xamante ni mooy Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye loolu nag ki ñu koy defal mooy soxna Maymuna Virginia. waaye bu ñu ñëwee ci pàcc bu njëkk bi ki ñu koy modéreel mooy Serigne Jibril Ndaw ak soxna Alice Fatima. intervenant yi doon Serigne Cheikh Bamba Dieye Serigne Cheikh Sidi Dieye Serigne Moustapha Diatara Serigne Mbakiyu Faye ak docteur Khadim Bamba Diagne. bu boobaa aussi dinañ am ay témoignages yu jëm ci Serigne Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye kaddu seede yoo xamante ni dina jógee ci Serigne Cheikhouna Bara Fallilou soxna Etienne Judor Mariama Serigne Mohamed Iqbal Abdallah soxna Nancy Laydik bu Amérique ñooñu ñooy jël ci pàcc bu njëkk bi ci samedi bi. bu boobaa tamit deuxième partie bi comme ni ma leen koy waxee deuxième session bi fas yéene tàmbali 20h ba 23h heure Italie. bu boobaa dinañ am ay contribution yu jógee ci professeur Assane Mboup Serigne Khadim Mbacké Abbas Serigne Djili Ba Majalis ak professeur Mourtala Mboup. dinañ amit ay kàdduk seede yu jóge ci Serigne Jamil Johor soxna Maam Fazul Rahima soxna Rajiana Moussa Serigne soxna Aliya Sayid Guljar ak Serigne Baye Rafex bu Ilmouris macha allah. ñu ñëw nag léegi ci troisième journée bi mu journée bi nga xamante ne ci la ñu fas yéene waxtaane ana lan mooy yoonu murit lan mooy melokaanu sëriñ bi lay tette ci yoonu murit waaye tamit lan moo war a doon melokaanu taalibe bi nga xamante ni moom moo tegu ci yoonu murit. bu boobaa nag man mii maa koy modéré soxna Binta Saliha Diop ànd ko ak soxna Angela Mambuso bu Italie. intervenant yi nara doon Serigne Moustapha Mbacké Gaynde Fatma Serigne Abdou Mbacké Mourtada Serigne Lamine Mbacké Thierno ak professeur Djibi Diagne incha allah. dinañ jot tamit ay contribution yu jóge ci Serigne Gora Diop ak docteur Khadim Bamba Diagne. pàcc bu mujj bi deuxième partie bi fas yéene doon tamit beneen modération bu may def ànd ko ak Serigne Moustapha Lo. contribution yi fas yéene jóge ci professeur Morloum Serigne Moustapha Cissé Serigne Yankoba Badiane Serigne Daouda Bakayoko soxna Maguette Silla Serigne Victorio Abdourahmane Serigne Cheikh Fatma Mbacké Serigne Omar Ba ak Serigne Sidi Ndiaye kon lii moom mooy programme bi nga xamante ni waa daayira ANSAR bu àdduna bi wërngal képp fas yéene nañ leen ko indil le 10 septembre di week-end bii ñu ñëw jëm le 12 septembre di dimanche ba ci àjjuma ba ca dimanche ba fas yéene waxtaane ñetti pàcc yi nga xamante ni moom lañ leen wax léegi te ñetti pàcc yi di nan lañuy sàmmee mbindum Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul organiser ko classifier ko beneen pàcc bi doon sargal ki nga xamante ni ki ni exemple la ci yoonu tasaare jàngaleeb Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul ci àdduna warngal képp muy Serigne Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye waaye tamit ñetteelu pàcc ba ca dimanche ba ñu waxtaanee ana lan mooy yoonu murit lan mooy melokaanu Serigne bi nga xamante ni moom la ñu war a topp ci yoonu murit lan moo war a doon melokaanu taalibe incha allah képp kuy membre ANSAR di ci woo bépp taalibe di leen ñaan ñu daje week-end bii incha allah ngir mën a waxtaanee xidma bu am solo bi nga xamante ni moom la ñuy def ci àdduna bi wërngal képp di ñaan yàlla nangul ñu ko incha allah rabbi kon bu leen ko kenn nettali incha allah ci week-end bi rek ngeen ñëw ñu ñëpp ñu bokk ko ndax ñu àndandoo tasaare njàngaleem Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul ci àdduna bi wërngal képp asalaamaaleykum wa rahmatullahi taala wa barakatuhu allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana muhammad auzu billahi minash shaitani rajim bismillahi rahmani rahim rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, my name is Bineta Diop and I am here today to invite you to join us on an international forum on the diaspora of Al-Muridiyya organized by the Daira ANSAR from Italy and all throughout the world, all the members of the Daira ANSAR, inshallah. This forum will be held this weekend, Friday, September 10th, from Friday, September 10th to Sunday, September 12th, 2021. And this will be the second edition of this forum, very important forums. We will have 2 daily sessions on each day. The sessions will start from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Italy time, and the second session will be from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. still on Italian time, inshallah. So in order for us to move forward throughout the day, we have selected each day with one theme in order to be able to share as much as we can with our followers, inshallah. So on day 1, which will be Friday, September 10th, 2021, we will be discussing the ongoing efforts made thus far in order to preserve and authenticate the writings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimu Rasoul, his Qaça'id, inshallah. For the second day, on day 2, which will be the Saturday, September 11th, 2021, we will be discussing the role of Sheikh Bamba Dieye in spreading the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba throughout the Murid diaspora and throughout the world, mashallah, a great reference for all of us, inshallah. And finally, on day 3, on that Sunday, we will be addressing the following questions. What it means to be, what is the path of Al-Muridiyya? What are the characteristics of a sheikh? And what are also the characteristics of a talibe, inshallah. So the program will be as followed. For the first day, we will have a welcoming remarks by Sister Elisabetta Acerbi from Italy. We'll also have a first session moderated by Serigne Pape Demba Dia, Sokhna Alice Fatima said, and this will be made in Wolof. And the speakers for that session will be Professor Mohamed Galanjai and Serigne Abdullah Fahmi in French, Serigne Moussa Djenkala, Serigne Khadim Ndiaye in Wolof. For the second part, the second session that will start from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. On that session, it will be moderated by Sheikh Mbacké Mboup, and the speakers are Serigne Chouhaib Kebe, Serigne Sam Bousso, and Dr. Khadim Lo, Serigne Ahmadou Mbacké. The contributors will be Serigne Mohamedou Mbacké, Serigne Murtala Silla, Serigne Abdullahi Bousso, the Professor Hassan Gueye, and Serigne Mamoun Ndiaye. On day 2, which will be the Saturday, September 11th, 2021, the program is as followed. We will have a tribute for Sheikh Abdullah J, made by Maimuna Virginia, Sohna Maimuna Virginia, and the first session will be moderated by Serigne Jibril Ndaw and Sohna Fatima, Alice Fatima. We will have as speakers Serigne Sheikh Bamba J, Serigne Sheikh Sidi J, Serigne Mustafa Jatara, Serigne Mbakiyu Faye, and Dr. Khadim Bamba Diagne. That will be followed by testimonials about Sheikh Abdullah J from Serigne Cheikhouna Bamba Fallilu, Etienne Judor Mariama, Mohammed Iqbal Abdallah, Nancy Leidig of the United States of America, inshallah. And the second session that will happen from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. we will have contributions from Professor Hassan Mboup, Serigne Khadim Mbake Abbas, Serigne Jili Ba Majalis, Professor Murtada Mboup, and it will be followed by testimonials from Serigne Jamil Juhor, Sohna Mam Fazul Rahima, Sohna Rajiana Musa, Sohna Alia Sayid Guljar from Il Maurice, Serigne Bay Rafiq of Mauritius. And on the third day, we will have our session moderated by me, Sohna Saliha Binta Saliha Diop, Sohna Angela Mambuso of Italy, inshallah. The speakers on the third day will be Serigne Mustafa Mbake Gaynde Fatma, Serigne Abdul Mbake Murtada, Serigne Lamin Mbake Cherno, the Professor Jibi Diagne, inshallah. We will also have contributions made by Serigne Gora Diop, Serigne Khadim Bamba Diagne, and Serigne Yahya Coates, inshallah. So thank you so much. We are looking forward to meeting all of you and sharing this beautiful platform in working on preserving the work of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba and spreading it accurately all throughout the world, inshallah. So we invite you to come join us, be a participant, and be able to share the khidmah with us all throughout the world, inshallah. And together we can further the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasul. Thank you so much, and we are looking forward to meeting you this weekend from September 10th, 2021 to September 12th, 2021, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa sallim. Mina shaytani rajim. Bismillahi rahmani rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. Wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Chers frères et sœurs en islam, nous vous présentons le Forum international sur la diaspora mouride organisé par la Daïra ANSAR des Italies, la 2e édition. Ce sera ce week-end du vendredi 10 septembre au dimanche 12 septembre 2021 avec 2 sessions journalières. Une première partie qui commencera de 15h à 17h heure d'Italie et une deuxième partie qui commencera de 20h à 23h heure d'Italie, Inch'Allah. Voici les thèmes de discussion durant le forum. Le vendredi, le thème sera quels sont les dispositifs permettant d'authentifier et de préserver les écrits de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasoul, ses Qaça'id. Pour le samedi, on discutera le rôle de Cheikh Abdoulaye Bamba J dans la vulgarisation de la pensée de Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimur Rasoul au sein de la diaspora mouride. Alhamdulillah. Pour le dimanche, nous discuterons qu'est-ce que la Mouridia, quelles sont les véritables caractéristiques d'un maître spirituel et aussi d'un disciple, Inch'Allah. Le programme sera comme suit. Pour la première journée du vendredi 10 septembre, nous aurons des mots de bienvenue de Elisabetta Acerbi, une première partie qui sera modérée par Pape Dembadja et Alice Fatima Sen. Nous aurons aussi comme intervenants professeur Mohamedou Galaye Ndiaye, Serigne Abdallah Fahmi, Serigne Moussa Djenkala, Serigne Khadim Ndiaye. Pour la deuxième partie, qui sera modérée par Cheikh A. Mbacké Mboup, nous aurons comme intervenants Serigne Chouaib Kébé, Serigne Sam Bousso, Dr Khadim Lo et Serigne Ahmadou Mbacké. Les contributeurs seront Serigne Mohamadan Mbacké, Serigne Mourtada Silla, Serigne Abdoulahi Bousso, Professeur Hassan Gueye, Serigne Mamoun Ndiaye. Et pour la deuxième journée du samedi 11 septembre 2021, nous aurons des mots d'accueil et hommage à Cheikh Abdoulaye Dieye par Sokhna Maïmouna Virginia. Une première partie de table ronde modérée par Djibril Ndao et Alice Fatima. Pour les intervenants, nous aurons Serigne Cheikh Bamba Dieye, Serigne Cheikh Sidi Dieye, Serigne Moustapha Diatara, Serigne Mbakiyou Faye, Dr Khadim Bamba Diagne. Et nous aurons des témoignages de Serigne Cheikhouna Bara Fallilou, Etienne Judor Mariama, Mohamed Iqbal Abdallah, Nancy Laidik des États-Unis. Pour la deuxième partie, les contributions viendront de Pape Hassan Mboup, Serigne Khadim Mbacké Abbas, de Serigne Djili Madjalis, du professeur Mourtala Mboup. Pour les témoignages, nous aurons Monsieur Serigne Djamil Djouhor, Mam Fazoul Rahima, Rajiana Moussa, Alia Saïd Gouljar, Baye Rafer des îles Maurice. Pour la troisième journée, la première partie sera une table ronde modérée par moi-même, Sokhna Binta Saliha Diop et Sokhna Angela Mambousso. Les intervenants seront Serigne Moustapha Mbacké Gaïndé Fatma, Serigne Abdou Mbacké Mourtala,
إني أقول إذا Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina wa maulana Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, viewers. As we promised, first of all, we would like to apologize for the delay. We had to deal with few technical issues, inshallah. But we are very happy here and to present to you the third day of the ANSAR International Forum for the Murid Diaspora. As we said today, our theme, our topic of discussion will be the characteristics of a sheikh and the characteristics of a disciple of a disciple, but as well as the relationship between a sheikh and a disciple. I am very pleased to have our guest, Serigne Lamin Mbake Ibn Mam Thierno, but also I'm very pleased and excited to share the platform with my sister Angela Mambuso, who will be co-anchoring it with me, co-moderating it with me. And hopefully she will be able to also give us an Italian translation, interpretation of what is shared today here, especially knowing that this event is put together by the ANSAR organization based in Italy for reverts and murids that are non-Senegalese all throughout the world now. Although it started in Italy, this organization has started to spread its wings all over the world. So we are very excited to have this English format. All the contribution will be in English, and then we'll have a translation in Italian, inshallah, by Sister Mambuso Angela. So without further ado, I would like to let our Sister Mambuso just share a few words with us before we introduce our guest, Serigne Lamin Mbake Ibn Mam Thierno, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, sister.
Well, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm so glad to be here again with you today. And I'm so proud of this occasion this chance that you give me. Yeah, I will, like you told me, I'm a member of, like you told in the presentation, I'm a member of ANSAR Italy, and now that I've moved here in UK, I'm a member of ANSAR UK too, and I will give translation as I will do my best to do the translation, and just for my sister and brothers of the ANSAR Italy. And they are that I have been member of this ANSAR since maybe the beginning, and I feel like a member of this family, this big family, and we share everything and we are in the path of the Muridia, so we are so proud of this, and we help each other, so it's a very good work that we do together.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a pleasure really to share these life experiences with your Murid brothers from Senegal.
Yeah.
How are you guys living the Al-Muridiya as what we say, someone who is not a native Senegalese?
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's not so much easy like in the rest of the world, maybe because Italy is not open with the foreign religion and the foreign faith. So for us that we are back in Islam is a little bit difficult to integrate ourselves in the society, even especially for women, because consider that most of people that are back to Islam are or they are come back for love reason. I mean, they had made a family with Senegalese men. They introduced them to this Muridiya, and it's not easy. But inshallah, we do a lot of efforts to still continue and to share the word of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba.
MashaAllah, very well said, sister. I am so blessed and thankful that we are able to share this. And as we move forward, definitely we will be sharing more about your experience as an ANSAR member. But I would like for you to join me so we can welcome our honorable guest, Brother Serigne Lamin Mbake Ibn Mam Thierno. Do you have any words before I introduce him? Sona Angela.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything for the guest that we have today before I introduce him?
Yeah. I'm very pleased to meet him for the first time, and I'm so proud to translate for my brothers and sisters in Italy your knowledge and your. I mean that you know a lot of things that we also only have to learn. So thank you for your contribution to this day, and for us is very, very important. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much. Thank you.
MashaAllah, thank you so much. I would like to welcome Serigne Lamine Mbake Ibn Mam Thierno. Serigne Lamine, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and being here with us. It means a lot. It means tremendously. It is of a tremendous importance, really, because this allows us to be able to share a platform and extend our relationship and allow someone like Sister Angela Mambuso and all the members of ANSAR and new Murids to be able to have a glimpse of what it means to be part of the family of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadim Rassoul. So we are highly honored to have you here. And I would like to start by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, Serigne Lamine. It's
your
mute.
Microphone.
Yeah, the microphone is muted.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much, Sohna Binta. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa salatu wa salamu ala al-Hadi al-Amin. Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin al-Makin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi dawi raban wa tamkin. It's a great honor and a great pleasure, Sohna Binta, to be in this platform to discuss such an interesting subject. And I will start by praying that Sheikh Muntaqa, the leader of the Murid community, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him a very long life and good health. And to all the Muslims around the world also. And I'm also very pleased to interact with the ANSAR Daira. I had the opportunity to interact with some members of the Daira and very dynamic, and I'm very pleased.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
The honors is ours. So without further ado, I'll just let Sister Angela allow us to ask few introduction questions so that we can know more about who Serigne Lamine Mbake is before we go into the topic of the day, which is what is a sheikh and what are the characteristics of a sheikh and what is a disciples and its characteristics, as well as the relationship between them. So Sister Angela, can you please take us away on asking more introductory questions for...
Yeah. Yes, please, Serigne Lamine, would you like to explain what is the Muridiya and what is the role of the Sheikh and his relationship with a disciple, and which kind of behavior has to have a disciple to be a good disciple, and what he has to do in relationship with his sheikh.
Now, sister, before we get to that, is it okay? I'm sorry to interrupt. Is it okay if we just go and try to get a little bit to introduce who is Serigne Lamine first? Because I know that we have viewers that for them it's the first time seeing you, and I know that it's always important for us to know, the lineage or the background, if we may. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself before we get in depth?
Of myself?
Oh, Serigne Lamine, inshallah. And then I'll get back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sohna Binta. Serigne Lamine actually is a humble disciple of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. And as far as my lineage, my father is the Khalif of Darul Marnan. He is a grandson of Monk Ibrahim, who was the right hand of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. My mother also is the son of Serigne Bassirou, so she's the sister of Serigne Muntaqa. So So this is as far as my lineage is concerned. As far as my academic background, I studied mathematics in France, had a master in mathematics and computer science, and finished an MBA, Master of Business Administration in the US at Old Dominion University. Back in 1995, worked 4 years there and returned home and worked for Citibank Senegal, where I discovered Islamic finance, because Citi was one of the pioneers of Islamic finance. And with the recommendations of my grandfather, Sheikh Murtada, I decided to resign from Citibank to start, that was in 2006, Islamic finance in West Africa. So I founded the African Institute of Islamic Finance, which is the pioneer of Islamic finance in West Africa, and probably one of the pioneers of Islamic finance in the whole African continent.
Amazing, very impressive.
Yeah.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Yeah, so Sister Angela, here we have a son of Sheikh Ahmadu Bamba Khadimul Rasul in a very different light, if I may say, because a lot of new Murids are only know the family of the Sheikh as in their spiritual journey, but not really as someone who is well accomplished, I may say. It's very impressive in terms of professional journey, which is very good as far as how we relate. So what words do you have as far as just the presentation that we just had from Serigne Lamine Mbacké, inshallah? Do you have anything to add to that? Any questions?
Yeah, I would like to ask to Serigne Lamine the interest of this. I think that is not so much studied, the Islamic finance. So, what is your interest into this in this subject, and how you would like to share and your knowledge, and what is your future plan with this?
Okay, I think Angela, this is your question is very good. Starting to know what is Muridia, and actually why I endeavored to start the African Institute of Islamic Finance. Part of it is by recommendation of Sheikh Murtada, because Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, our Sheikh, describes himself as a mujaddid. And you know the history of Islam. Islam has been the religion from the first day. You know, mankind is sent. The man is sent on earth to be the representative of God, according to the Quran. And in that mission, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala had sent prophets, starting from Prophet Adam to all the prophets, Moses, Jesus, until the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So all their messages were a message from God. The books were, the authentic books were the words of God. But Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet, the complementary prophet, and the prophet that was sent to all the mankind. But after the, he accomplished Islam. He put out everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for Muslims to be there. But after him, like it is said, al-ulama warathatul anbiya, the saints are the followers of the prophets, the saints who are there to spread the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But inside those saints, some are called the mujaddids. So every century or some centuries, there is a mujaddid that renews the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was one of those who is founding the Muridiya order. So the Muridiya order is a reflection of the authentic Islam as it was practiced by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his Sahabas. And actually in his communications, our Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said, the Murids, the Sahabas are the fathers of the Murids in faith. Basically, with the himma, that's the will strong will that the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba taught to his disciples. Being a Muslim is like, you know, doing the right thing and avoiding the wrong thing. But being a Muslim like the Sahabas is like excelling, being the best Muslims. And Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said, I want my community to try to mirror the behavior of the Sahabas. So basically, that's what I can say about what Muridiya is.
MashaAllah.
Thank you. MashaAllah. Thank you.
Great question, Sister Angela. Thank you so much for that. It really brings us right into the main topic that we want to discuss today, which is what are the characteristics of a sheikh. And in Al-Muridiya, we know that there is a chain of authority that is very important. That is the reason why sheikhhood is at the pinnacle of our activity in our faith and the way that we move towards the journey, our journey in Al-Muridiya. So can you tell me a little bit about how sheikhhood is, what is the place actually of sheikhhood within the path, inshallah?
Okay. Thank you for this good question. Before that, I would just want to mention the relationship, maybe to answer Angela's question, what is the relationship between Islamic finance, Islamic economy, and the Muridiya?
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, when I was working, I think I presented like in 2017, a theme called Muridonomics of the United Nations. Murid Economics. Murid Economics, I think I called it Muridonomics. You may find that in YouTube. I'll send you the link.
That's a nice word.
Yeah, it was,
Murid Economist. Murid Economist.
Yeah, Muridonomics. It was in Bamba Day 2017. But I just wanted to mention here that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was a mujaddid, and he wanted his followers to be the Muslim, but the best Muslims following the Sahabas. But the duty of a Muslim, because he's a representative of God, is not only for the world, it's for both worlds, this world and the afterlife. So the behavior, the perfect behavior is as a Muslim is to seek God's rewards in everything you do. And the Sheikh said in one of his writings, is it muridu la yurid abada khairu rahman haythu qasada. A murid is the one that every single thing he does, even if you go to work, if you give money to your wife, or if you, whatever you do, you see God's rewards. And that's the true nature of a Muslim. And in that discussion, when I was working for Citibank, I had two problems. The first problem was Citibank has riba, conventional finance has riba, and it's forbidden. And everybody was telling me, as a grandson of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, how could you work in riba? But you know, Senegal is, if I take an example of Senegal, it's a 95% Muslim country. There is no Islamic finance, so people are obliged to use the conventional banking system. The other thing also is, and this was told to me by Sheikh Murtada, the murid must have a holy purpose on every single action he does. Absolutely. Even if you go to work, you have to do it because you want to feed your family, for God's purpose, for God's rewards. Absolutely. So combined with those two, Sheikh Murtada asked me to resign, and you know, I had participated in a training in Citibank in Istanbul, where I met some people who told me they're from City Islamic, and I was like, what is City Islamic in Bahrain? They told me Islamic finance. And when I spoke to him, he told me your duty is to work for spreading Islamic finance.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's such a, I mean, one thing that I really took notice of is the fact that you resigned under the, you know, recommendation of Sri Murtada, you know, mashallah, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So that is really a huge sacrifice. Not a sacrifice, really, it's a hidden blessing as we listen to our sheikhs. But also, you mentioned the struggle that we have into trying to compromise with conventional banking systems and conventional ways of life as murids, and that's very difficult. And that's why the topic that we have today is so important, to allow us to be able to better understand how should we navigate with these modern demands of our life and the demands of our spiritual path. So mashallah, I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And definitely we're looking forward to hearing more about that. Maybe we should have a platform about Islamic finance one day so that you can help us better understand that, inshallah.
Okay, but coming back to your questions quickly, the relationship I wanted to make is Sheikh Ahmad Bamba followers, the teachings he had on them was, I mean, if you look at the economy, the Murids were the most successful, but the purpose was not there to be successful in economy. The purpose was there to be a Murid, to have to seek God's satisfaction. But when you try to worship God and you do things, you excel in things. You have it both ways. You have well-being in this life, and you have a reward in afterlife. So basically, talking about the sheikhs, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was training his disciples like what they call Sheikh al-Mu'allim, a teacher of, like you have your professor in your university, or a teacher in the Quran or something else. But then he moved to Sheikh Rabbi, Sheikh Tarbiyah, Sheikh Tarkhiyah. Those steps were to train, not only to teach the Quran and the Hadith and all the source of Islam, but beyond that, to teach your soul. Because Islam is Iman, Islam in Ihsan, to teach you Ihsan and to make you a perfect Muslim as wanted by God. And a perfect Muslim as wanted by God is a Murid. A Murid is the one who everything he does is aspiring for God's rewards. So those who were successful in that, those those who finished the training, the Sheikh would let them go. And if they lived in one area, geographical area, somebody wanted to come to them to get those teaching, he would tell them, no, go to the Sheikh, the person I already trained, and then you can get the training from there. So this is the origin of Sheikhs.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So basically, a Sheikh, if I hear you correctly, is an extension of the master Sheikh, which is Sheikh Ahmad Bamba Khadimul Rasul. But I know that Sister Angela had some technical issues. I'm not sure if you were able to talk on what he said. It would be great if you can have an Italian after.
Unfortunately, I have lost my, because my tablet, was, sorry, I had this problem.
On the next question, it would be great is as soon as he finished, if you can just give us a summary in Italian so that we would be able to share his
but unfortunately I've lost all the speech about the Sheikh, so I'm really, so if you can kindly give me a little summarize, I will appreciate it, please.
Absolutely, yeah. I think from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Serine Lamine, basically what I hear you is what you really wanted to highlight is the fact that Sheikhhood is not something new just to the Murid path. It is something that we inherited even from the Sahabas that was around the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also another thing is that the Sheikh is just really an extension of the spiritual guide, which is also a Sheikh. Is there a difference, before we give the floor to Sister Angela, is there a difference between having a spiritual guide and having a Sheikh, a spiritual master?
Is it?
It's for Mr. Lamine, so that you can go ahead and translate.
Okay. Thanks, Sana Binta, for what you said. I think basically, if you're following the Murid Brotherhood, the Brotherhood actually is based on Sunnah, and there's nothing new that Sheikh Ahmad Bamba has created in Islam. There's nothing also he has taken off from Islam. It's the same message. Why we call him Mujaddid. Mujaddid is a renewer. Somebody who puts a new dynamic on that is the will. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba said to his disciples, you can be a good Muslim if you follow my training. But my training is for creating excellent Muslims. And he said, the Sahabas are the fathers, spiritual fathers of the Murids. And he said, you should try to reach the goals you probably maybe can never attain. But if you try to reach the highest goal, you'll be on a higher level. But now, so his training was over just the training of Quran, the Hadith, and the teaching and everything. It was beyond that. It was training your soul, training your behavior, training you so that after he finished this training, everything you do will be for God's sake, and which is the real purpose of Islam. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. The only reason I created you is for worship. And worshipping God isn't worshipping into the ibadats, the acts of worships, but also in the muamalat, how you interact with people, how you do economy, how you do social, how you do political. And all those are interactive. And the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba was training you so that in all the worshipping acts and then transactional acts, you become a best Muslim. Now, when he first trains, the first disciples in Bakke Kajor, maybe the 40 people that follow him, including Sheikh Ibrahim, Sheikh Abdurrahman, and all those people, he was satisfied with them. He said, okay, I'm satisfied with the way you are. And those people now were in a place to train other people. So, if for example, he trained you and you are from Jambur, he told you, go back to your region and stay there. And if somebody in that region says, I want to join Sheikh Ahmad Bamba's order, he said, you don't have to come to directly to me. Just go to the Sheikh I trained over there and he can be your spiritual leader. But it's the same teaching that the Sheikh is going to spread on you.
Wonderful. Sister Angela, would you like to translate that, inshallah? Sister Angela?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't. So, okay, I have to translate what he said.
Yes, inshallah, if it's possible.
Yeah, ok. Allora, abbiamo iniziato la nostra conferenza con il Serin Lamin Bakke Mamcerno. È un stretto, diciamo, posso chiedere una cosa? Can I ask you please something? May I translate later?
Okay, if that works for you, that's fine. Just let me know.
Yes, please, because I have lost something, and okay. I'm very worried about this. So, sorry, but I have lost something. You know, I had some issues with the connection, so I have lost something, and I don't want to. I would like to do this after, if it's possible.
Well, I have to tell you.
Okay, I can carry on. I can keep this few notes that I take, and I give a few minutes speech about this. What do you?
Tell you, Sister Angela, it is not easy to translate or interpret, especially in a setting like this. So we are very grateful for your work. We understand.
I'm waiting. So.
You're doing a wonderful job, mashallah. I'm very impressed you are able to speak Italian and English, because you are definitely helping us bring the teachings of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba into the Italian world, mashallah. And you know what, that speaks a lot about the integrity, because you need to get all the information before you can translate it properly. So thank you so much for that.
Okay. So now I'm going to try, okay?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Ok, so, quindi abbiamo avuto il nostro primo intervento con Serin Lamin Mamcerno, che è studioso di matematica e francese all'università in America, e ha avuto l'opportunità di studiare questa nuova, diciamo, questa nuova
branco dell'economia, che è appunto la finanza islamica in West Africa, cioè nell'Africa occidentale, e quello che lui chiama Murid economics, right? Murid economics, yeah. E lui l'ha definita appunto l'unione della fede islamica muridia con appunto la finanza. E cosa, cioè, abbiamo chiesto che cos'è la muridia e qual è la relazione, cioè che cos'è la figura dello sheikh e che relazione ha con il suo discepolo. E lui appunto ha parlato della relazione che un discepolo deve avere con il suo sheikh, come immagine, cioè i discepoli devono seguire l'immagine di questa guida spirituale, quindi è uno sheikh è un qualcosa che va oltre l'essere una guida spirituale, l'estensione della guida spirituale, ma che gli dà una nuova dinamica e la volontà di seguire lo specchio e di essere, diciamo, sì, lo specchio del Saba, allenando la sua anima ed elevandola con la conoscenza e la conoscenza di Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. E anche lui stesso, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, sappiamo benissimo che voleva che i suoi discepoli fossero i migliori musulmani, avendo come punto di riferimento i Saba del passato.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Sister Angela. I don't speak Italian, but it sounded very thorough as.
Yeah, I'm really sorry, just because this is what I have, because it's a little bit difficult to follow everything and to put some notes. But anyway, I have tried to do my best. Sorry.
I think we are satisfied with that, mashallah. I would like to go ahead and take the opportunity and welcome Serigne Moustapha Mbacke Gaynde Fatma, who also just joined us, inshallah. So very shortly, I'll be coming to Serigne Moustapha Mbacke. But I want to bring a follow-up question to what Serigne Lamine Mbacke just said, which is very important. Serigne Lamine Mbacke, I heard through your last statement that part of the requirement for someone to be a sheikh, as the example you have given us with those elders who were around the sheikh, was that the sheikh must be satisfied with you. Is that correct?
Okay, actually what I meant is, in the brotherhood of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, there is one message, and that message is coming from Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. But when Sheikh Ahmad Bamba trained his brother Sheikh Ibra Fati, Mam Cerno, he trained Sheikh Abdurrahman Lo, Sheikh Ibra Fall, all those who trained, he was satisfied with them. Well, that's what we call the Ngaram. Ngaram is, I've been training you in both sides, so you become a man of God. But I'm satisfied with you right now, and you can spread the message I'm spreading. But the message is one message from Sheikh Ahmad Bamba.
It must be.
Those they have a seal, they have a certification that they understood the message and they can spread the authentic message. So that seal meant anybody who wants to, for example, the next day a disciple comes to the Sheikh and say, I want to be a Murid, I want to follow the Murid order. The Sheikh will tell him, go with Mam Cerno, go with Sheikh Ibra, go with Shindam Abdurrahman, because he knows he had done the best of those people. I have made them the best Muslims. So this is, the process of the Sheikh. So, in other words, if you follow a Sheikh, you should find the same authentic message delivered by the Sheikh. You could trace that message to the authentic message of the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, as far as teaching is concerned, as far as Islam, as far as behavior, as far as everything else. And up to now, even if you hear conversations or you discuss about religion, about murids, to anybody, any sheikh or and you can trace that the education goes back to the Sheikh, you're very impressed with everything, in both in the conversation, but also in action. I mean, you know, you take anyone, you take Sheikh Salim Mbacke with all, you know, I'm just putting aside the spiritual life, but everything is spiritual in Sheikh Salim Mbacke. But if you just look at the Khelcoms, I mean, what he achieves, the amount of work he was doing, everything is from the teaching of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba.
MashaAllah. Very interesting. Sister Angela, you would like to intervene on that?
Yeah. I mean, questo che ha detto poc'anzi riguarda il processo che viene seguito per creare, per appunto definire uno sheikh. Ovviamente serve un allenamento dell'anima, quindi il training of the soul, cioè allenare la propria anima ed elevarla con la conoscenza. E ovviamente il messaggio principale è quello di condividere e di inoltrare il messaggio di Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, che appunto, come sappiamo, è un messaggio universale e che racchiude una serie di diciamo di stereotipi come quali seguire appunto da seguire per essere un buon discepolo e un buon sheikh. Quindi il processo che viene seguito è appunto quello di un uomo vicino a Dio, sì, diciamo una figura che si avvicina molto alla figura di guida spirituale, ecco.
MashaAllah. Thank you again, Sister Angela Mambus, that is joining us from the UK, and was born in Italy. MashaAllah. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to Serigne Moustapha Mbacke Gaynde Fatma, who joined us. Just because he missed the introduction part, I will allow him to introduce himself. And Serigne Moustapha, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. And before anything, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us here. It means a lot to us that we have a member of the Mbacke family to join and share information to the broader community. MashaAllah. Thank you, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you have your phone mute, just please unmute it for us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We still cannot hear you, inshallah. Let's see.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you better, mashallah. I hope you were able to hear me.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. We are pleased to have you amongst us today.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad al-Makki wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa rizani wa tamkin. Thank you for having me, and I apologize for that delay. Yes, it's been a very busy week, and will be a busy week for the next few days or so. I'm in the process of having a book signing ceremony in Dakar at Masalikul Jinan Mosque on the 19th of September, this coming Sunday, coinciding with those two painful nights that Khadim Rasul, Sheikh Ahmad Bamba Mbacke, went through when he left St. Louis, Senegal. They reached the verdict and arrived in Dakar on the 19th of September, which was a Thursday. The evening of that Thursday, the 19th of September, 1895, before he broke his fast. I called him and led him to that room, that abominable room, about which he wrote very significant, or some very significant verses. He said, every time I think of that room, that governor, and the indecency to which I was exposed to, I suddenly feel under the urge to declare war by arms. But Prophet Muhammad instructs me not to. So if that led him to want to wage a war by arms, what happened during those 2 nights in that room? That's a very good question, because up to today, that's what I'm still repeating. The French have not declassified anything pertaining to the chef from September 5th, 1895 up to 1902. So everything is regarded as classified, or just a complete blackout. And I think for us to understand, or begin to understand what he went through, we have to request those documents from the former colonial power up to 124 years. They promised to declassify it after 50 years. Now we are getting into the 124th year.
And they did not.
That period of 8 years, less 4 months, remains a mystery to most people. Unless we run into a verse which alludes to a circumstance during which the chef was tried, and we recognize that this happened, we know nothing about what happened in Gabon. Really, we just hear. But I trust that you were talking about, you have to brief me regarding the conversation you were engaged in, because I don't want to derail.
Well, we are very glad that you shared that with us, and you are doing such a wonderful work on that. So we definitely will be following through, because that's a very interesting topic and very, very serious to that matter, what you just shared with those archives. And I hope that, you know, the work continues so we can get an answer, so that it could be declassified, inshallah. So as we go now, as a segue, I just wanted to congratulate you as well for your book that just came out this week. Actually, I think yesterday there was an event introducing the book Masalikul Jinan, and I hope that we will get an opportunity as well to speak about that in a different platform, so that we can share more in depth about the content of the book. And I'll come back to the book later on at the end. But today, the topic that we have at hand, Serigne Moustapha Mbacké, is really Al-Muridiyya and the importance of a sheikh in the path. What are the characteristics of a sheikh, and what are the characteristics of a disciple, mashallah? So what can you tell me? I think you came in at the right time, because Serigne Lamin Mbacké Ibn Mam Thierno, who is here sharing the platform with us, just mentioned to us really the history behind sheikhhood in Al-Muridiyya and how it relates even back to the times of the Prophet. Can you tell us a little bit about Al-Muridiyya and the importance of a sheikh within the path?
Well, it's an interesting topic that you're talking about, but I think when you talk about sheikhhood or discipleship, you're referring to an act that is traced in the Quran, in Surah Al-Hujurat, that goes in the chapter. The Quran says that those who pledge allegiance to thee, bayat, do nothing but pledge allegiance to Allah, and the hand of Allah is on their hands.
MashaAllah.
And second, he further says, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ. The pleasure of Allah has descended upon the believers when they pledge allegiance to thee under the tree. Which means, based on our understanding, that the pleasure of Allah did not descend before they pledged allegiance to him. This is specific. Even though they were Muslims and believers, it specifically says the pledge of Allah has descended upon the believers when they pledge allegiance to thee under the tree. So that is the way Allah spoke to the believers regarding that act of allegiance, the bay'at, which is called in Islam Bayatul Ridwan. So that was what was taken. That path was followed by the entire Prophet's companions. May Allah be pleased with them. From Abu Bakr Ali radiallahu anhu, all the way to Usman, all the way to Ali Karmallah Wajho. Of course, I'm not going to get into how Islam had misinterpretations and missed this and missed that, but it is clear based on the Quran that any Muslims should pledge an allegiance to somebody who is spiritually superior, if I can use that term, or has a better understanding of spirituality, which they can disseminate to others. There is a hierarchy. There is a hierarchy. All men are not the same, don't stand on the same level of piety or state of gratefulness and so on and so forth.
MashaAllah. And real quick, Sayyid Mustafa, I would like to allow Sister Angela to give us an Italian interpretation of these important words that you shared with us, you know, just so that she can go ahead and share that with us. Is that okay with you, Sister Angela? Hello? Sister Angela? We are not able to hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I have problem even with the sound. Anyway.
Okay, no problem. So what I'll do then, don't worry, I'll just go ahead and turn into Sirin Lamin Mbake. Sirin Lamin?
Now, I have Sister Binta.
Yes, yes.
My program is actually next Sunday. It was not, it hasn't, I met the Khalif General and who blessed my work and asked me to go ahead. And so I'm in Touba currently. I had a lecture 2 nights ago with at Dari Kamil, but I'm heading to Dakar as we speak. So my time is a kind of limited. I apologize for that. But,
okay, thank you so much for that clarification. So it's going to be next Sunday. So definitely we are looking forward to getting more details on that. And hopefully we can share it with the viewers, inshallah. I wanted to, you know, you mentioned some very important things, but unfortunately I know we lost Sirin Lamin Mbake. I'm not sure if he was able to pick up on that. It really ties back to what he was saying about the references that Sirin Mustafa Mbake just gave us on Surah Al-Hujurat, you know, when the Sahabas pledged allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It just goes back to show that this is, you know, the requirement of having a sheikh in this path is nothing new, just like you said, Sirin Lamin. Can you tell us more about some of the key components of a sheikh? Because I know that coming from the West, we are still not clear about whether sheikhhood is something that mainly is inherited or it is something that is done and, as you said before, can be achieved by anyone.
you have to understand that Khadim Rasul is an exception of this entire thing. And he has demonstrated that he's an exception. Now, he has given us a definition of who a sheikh is and what he is capable of doing in the Huq al-Bukau. Even before the Murid path was renewed, if I may use that word. He's giving you a definition of a sheikh.
What is that?
It's not one line. You looking at 10 different lines, and I explained that in my book. But in a nutshell, what he's, I have to, Sheikh Ahmed Matar is calling me. I have to take this call just for a minute.
As you take that call, I'm just going to address the question to Serigne Lamine. Serigne Lamine, can you hear me?
Waaw kon suma déedéet man maa ngi ñëw foofu ci yow suma noppee rek ñëw foofu.
Muting your phone, Mustafa.
I'll quickly finish, inshallah.
Sure, go ahead.
In a nutshell, a sheikh is someone who is in perfect accord with the entirety of the laws of jurisprudence in Islam, the Shariat al-Mutahhara. That's one. And he is in perfect...
Yes, Sister Angela, come on.
Can you please repeat this last sentence, please?
The sheikh is in perfect... The sheikh follows the entirety of the laws of jurisprudence, the Sharia. That's one condition. The second condition is that the sheikh should be endowed with inner light to be able to detect the pitfalls of the path and where the disciple is heading to, and be able to prevent that disciple from falling into the abyss of the path. So there are two main conditions for the sheikh. Classically speaking, I earlier said that Sheikh Bam is an exception. You see, there is a linkage between how the Messenger alayhi salam acted and how his servant acted. And I'll give you one example. And that's you looking from the top and going down to the bottom, as far as this example is concerned. In a war, Ali Karamallahu wajhahu had his eyes hurting to the point where he could not even look or see anything. The Prophet ﷺ made a prayer, breathed into his palm, and put it on Ali's face, who recovered immediately at the instant his eyesight. With Khadim Rasul, I'm doing the linkage. When he came back from the first exile, he went to Sanusi and stayed with Serigne Sirelo for 1 month. Serigne Sirelo told him that he had diabetes. The Sheikh gave him sugar and told him, consume the sugar, your diabetes will be cured. He consumed the sugar and his diabetes was cured. I'm taking the top example, see, and making a link between the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Sheikh. One who is able to do that has already been endowed with authority to do and undo on the earth. And authority is what I'm referring to.
I see it. I see. That's very important. And can we allow Sister Angela just to go over that in Italian, and then we'll come back with the next question, inshallah.
Ok, quindi la nostra sorella Pinta ha chiesto al Toubamondebi cioè, le qualità che uno sheikh deve avere sono di origine ereditarie o comunque può essere una posizione che può essere raggiunta da chiunque, e lui ha citato dicendo che comunque ha citato il nostro Khadim Rasul per dare un esempio di definizione di sheikh, dicendo che deve essere qualcuno che segue appunto la Sharia, quindi la legge islamica, deve avere un linguaggio classico e deve appunto seguire l'ordine come uomo di Dio, più vicino appunto a Dio.
MashaAllah, thank you so much, Sister Angela.
Hold on, sister. You should mention that the Prophet Muhammad was the legislator, so therefore he was the one who was giving instructions as to the Sharia. Sister, the sister who spoke Italian, I'm addressing to. So that was passed down to Khadim Rasul. It was passed down to Khadim Rasul, who was able to legislate, but who could not legislate because legislation has already been sealed. But he understood the outer and inner meanings of legislations from the Prophet Muhammad because he was Khadim Rasul.
I think Sister Angela has some connection issues, but I thank you so much, Serene Mustafa Mbake Gende Fatma, for clarifying really the authority that is necessary in order for a sheikh to be able to act as a guide or a master to the disciple. I think it goes back to what Serene Alamin Mbake was saying earlier about that chain of authority, but also that responsibility into keeping the universal message intact so that it doesn't deviate from the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Serene Lamin, I really want to ask you real quick, since we spoke about that authority, we spoke about the responsibility of keeping the message uniform, what are the challenges that you've noticed nowadays that we should keep in mind as we discuss sheikhhood?
Wow, man, dugg naa de mais dafa mel ni xaw ma est-ce que maa ngi ci yow yaa ngi suivre wala?
Yes, I can see you. We can see you and we can hear you well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh?
I can see you very well.
Non, maa ngi leen di gis ñoom. Non, maa ngi leen di gis. Maa ngi gis soxna Binta, sëñ Moustapha ak kan moo toog ni sëñ Lamine ak italien benn italien la.
Tonton.
maa ngi leen di gis bu ma leen di gis ça veut dire ah.
Hello. I need you guys to mute.
Man maa ngi dugg naa quoi maa ngi leen di kii léegi xaw ma nag ba xam lan moo ci toog. Waaw maa ngi teye waaw waaw.
Sëñ Lamine.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say hi to my older brother, Sheikh Mustafa Gene Fatma, who accomplished a titanic work for the development of Muridia in the United States. I remember the first time when I was studying in France, the first time I came to New York, Bombardier, so it was 1989. He was handling everything from the strategic to the operational. So we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, he continues on his successes for a longer period of time. The tips of his grandfather. So touching on that, I think he made a very relevant comment by quoting Hoqal Bukau. First of all, by quoting that the sheikhhood, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was saying to the Sahabas, those who made bay'ah, who commits with the Prophet, they committed with me, and the hands you're giving to the Prophets is given to my hands. The second very important thing he said about Hoqal Bukau, where Sheikh Ahmad Bamba describes actually all the all the values the murid should bear, all the behaviors he must have, how he should worship God, how he should respect Sharia and Haqiqah. So this is really the definition of a murid. And actually this poem was made about the Sahabas, their behavior, and he was saying, and on that point you feel that when he says that the Sahabas are the fathers, spiritual fathers of the murids, this is a path the murid should follow. So being a sheikh is somebody that went through that training, has for whom Sheikh Ahmad Bamba has been satisfied after the training, and he could spread that training to other people. He becomes a sheikh because he gets followers. Now we can have a lot of challenges because my great-grandfather can be a big sheikh, and Sheikh Ahmad Bamba has been satisfied with him, and he has a lot of followers. But systematically, the followers follow their sons and their grandsons, who are supposed to have the same education as their great-grandfather in that. Now, if I don't have the same education and have followers, the message can be biased. So this is just one of the challenges I'm talking. We have other challenges also. Some people are proclaiming themselves sheikh as
Yes, absolutely.
they don't follow. So a lot of challenges.
Le 24 la kay. Moom laa la wax de xanaa da ngaa fàtte. Xam naa ne le 24 lay dem yooyu. Waaw pour le 24. Waaw def ko noonu. Merci beaucoup.
Yes, but I think the bottom line here is the authentic message of the sheikh. The sheikhhood is the means by which disciples are connected to the sheikh through some sheikhs who spread the message, the authentic message.
Hello?
Did you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So yes, you did say that to connect the message of the sheikh to the authentic message. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
So I definitely got the point that you mentioned, that it is important for us to connect the message of the sheikh and make sure that we keep the authenticity. And that led back to one thing that you highlighted in your comment, which was really the fact that some people may declare themselves sheikhs without really getting the educational training and the spiritual training that is required for that. And unfortunately, that is something that in modern times, we are always witnessing that. And what do you think could be the checks and balances that a disciple should look for in choosing a sheikh, inshallah?
Okay, I think it's very difficult for the disciples, because if you take an example of a new disciples who feels the message of Islam in his heart and who follows Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, because Muridi is a perfect thing, but who doesn't have the perfect education about Islamic education about Muridiya, he can follow somebody that can bias the messages or put him on a wrong path. So on that, and it's very difficult. I think the work should be top down. I mean, I think the approach should be from the Muridiya to have people like Sheikh Mustafa Gaynde Fatma, and all those people in other areas who are trained, who know the true message of the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, to do training of trainers. And I was just discussing with a friend this morning, and I was telling him maybe in the new University of Touba, there should be faculties for training trainers that should be sent abroad, because a lot of a lot of people around the world are embracing Islam through Sheikh Ahmad Bamba's Muridia, and they like training. I think they should be from Touba, from Senegal, from the Murid community, as it was in the beginning, because in the beginning it was the Sheikh in Bakke Kajor. He was training people, and after he trained a lot of people, those people are training other people. And by the way, a very funny story. After the Sheikh came from the exile and then came from Mauritania, they put him in house arrest in chain, which was in the middle of the desert, what was called desert in Senegal. And I mean, but when the French were doing the reports, finally they say this is the best place you put the Sheikh, because he's training other Sheikhs, other Ahmad Bambas, and those Ahmad Bambas are going to places and training disciples.
MashaAllah.
This is the process. But I think
available. That system, that organization, is it available within the path?
It was available in the past, but I think it has to be perfected now. I think some people like Shah Mustafa Genefab, when they speak with the Khalif, it's something. It's some areas we need support. We need the Khilafah to train people, to train some trainers, to do dawah, to go in New York, in DC, in Atlanta, in China, in Italy, in Europe, to bring the authentic message of the Sheikh, which is the message of the prophets. But
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it also has to do with the linguistic abilities that are necessary for us to communicate. I mean, I'm so glad that we have a platform where we can have some members of the Makke family that are very, very eloquent when it comes to speaking English. Yourself and Serigne Mustafa Mbake. However, I mean, you touch on a very important point, which is the organization and the authority, the chain of authority that is necessary for that. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I want to add a little thing. I think we should be seeking, people from the ANSAR, like native Italians, native Americans, native British that are Murids. Either they be like authentic Italians or Senegalese that were born there, because there's a lot of that, and who master not only the language but the culture of the country. But they should be trained in Touba to get the authentic message of the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. Maybe, I don't know, the next university could include a branch for that, and those could go back to the country and do the training, so that there's no deviation from the authentic message of the Sheikh. I think this is a field where my elder brother, Sheikh Mustafa Gaynde Fatma, can work on.
I think I'm going to take the floor and give it to Serigne Mustafa Gaynde Fatma, so he can help us better address really that structural need that we have in order to better organize the chain of authority that is involved to establishing Sheikhhood. Serigne Mustafa, what words do you have for the interesting contributions made by Serigne Lamine Mbacke?
Well, I think Serigne Lamine has articulated perfectly the manner in which this transmission should be done. Not for the disciple to necessarily go out there and say, I want to be a sheikh. This is the problem, really. Those who want to be sheikhs, the more humble you are, the higher Allah raises you. That's what we fail to understand. You see? The sheikh had a message no different than the message of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Even though he brought about a rupture, he broke away from what he was doing, what his father was doing, Mamour Sari, in Bakke Kajor, because he was asked to cease continuing the classical method of teaching, because he was asked to reveal who he was and what he represented, so that people of all walks of life can come around him and quench their thirst, their spiritual and physical, temporal thirst from this grace of Allah. Because the Sheikh Khadim Rasul is a continuity of Rasulullah. And we know that Quran says, Umar Sanak ila rahmatin lil alamin. And we have not sent thee but for a grace to mankind. So that's why the Sheikh, at some point in his life, when he was about to confront the French after he returned from the first exile, he said, Irham Jami al-Wara. He is going back to that universal Rahmah in which he symbolized and embodied. So he wrote extensively on knowledge which we should understand, then disseminate. On Tawheed, on Fiqh, on Tasawwuf. While we are disseminating those types of knowledge, we can still read books on Madh or Salawat ala Nabi, sending blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ, because Allah says he does it. And this, one of the missions of the Sheikh was to do that. We don't know what really that contains. It's a mystery. Allah says, Inna Allaha malaikatahu yusalluna ala Nabi. So we have to understand the mechanism whereby the Sheikh is the embodiment and the inheritor, the direct inheritor of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He said it in his works. Safi fu'adiya likay yahfazuma. Nazzaltuhu ala imam al-kurama. Cleanse my heart until I preserve that which you have descended, O Allah, into the heart or the kernel of the great Imam, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So he knew who he was, the Sheikh knew who he was and what he represented, and he has transmitted that message to mankind through his writing, through the Sheikhs he crowned, and that should be the continuity, without deviation or disorientation of some and others.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
This is a problem in the diaspora. I want to be a sheikh. No, you're not here to seek become. You know, you are begging for intercession in the hereafter. That's what we're begging for. And the sheikh is here to do that for us. In the meantime, we have to continue to walk on the path of piety and respect the lineage of the sheikh in terms of those blood lineage and the spiritual sheikhs whom he crowned sheikh while he was here.
MashaAllah. Allow me, Sayyid Mustafa, thank you so much for those amazing, words that you shared with us. That allows us to really know the main characteristics of a sheikh. What I heard from Sayyid Mustafa's contribution is that authority is a must. Then the preservation of the message, just like Sayyid Lamin Mbake mentioned as well, is essential. Also, the transmission of the message is also essential. And Sayyid Lamin Rose pointed out a very good point, which is making sure that those people that we are bringing the message to are able to understand it properly and also can relate due to their cultural heritage, mashallah. Sister Angela, before I introduce the Professor Jibi Jain, I would like to give you an opportunity to go over a summary of what was shared here thus far, inshallah. Can you hear me, Sister Angela? We still cannot hear you.
Yeah, maybe now.
Now it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I had some problems, some issues with my. Anyway, so I tried to translate what. So at the moment when I come back, il nostro fratello Serin Lamin Bache ha dato uno spunto molto interessante riguardo la figura dello sheikh e nella sua evoluzione, nel senso come deve avvenire il suo ruolo, come deve essere e quali passaggi deve avere prima di diventare uno sheikh. Ovviamente la cosa principale è la base, è quella del messaggio che deve essere, come si dice, deve essere, sorry, I make a confusion with languages, sorry. I'm just thinking, I'm still thinking in English and it's so difficult. Anyway, dicevo che bisogna cercare di scusate fratelli, sorelle, io ho veramente un po' di difficoltà a volte perché faccio fatica a dividere le due lingue, e quindi spero di essere chiara, quindi scusate se ci sono degli errori o sicuramente delle cose che perdo. Appunto dicevo che la figura dello sheikh deve essere legata anche all'ereditarietà, no? Nel senso e al messaggio che bisogna mandare, bisogna continuare a condividere, ecco, e non in tutte le lingue, quindi da partire per noi italiani, per noi convertiti italiani, piuttosto che dall'America, dal Sud America, in tutte le parti del mondo, deve arrivare lo stesso messaggio che, come abbiamo detto più volte, il messaggio di Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba è universale.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Sister Angela, for that. Again, Sister Angela Mambuso from UK, translating for us into Italian. MashaAllah. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead now and give the floor and welcome our brother, Professor Djibi Diagne. Professor Djibi Diagne is joining us from New York. And I would like to give you, Professor Djibi Diagne, a few minutes to introduce yourself. And we would like personally really thank you in the name of the ANSAR organization for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us here to share the teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadim Rassoul and really allow us to shed some lights upon these two topics, which are what are the characteristics of a sheikh and what are the characteristics of a disciple. Actually, three topics, because then we'll have to look into what are the relationships between the two. You came in at a very important moment of the discussion, but I'll allow you to introduce yourself. Then I'll ask you a question about the contribution that was made by Serin Lamin Bakke, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Serin Djibi.
Alaikum salam, Sokhna Binta. Thank you very much. And I would like to greet Serin Lamin and Serin Mustafa and our sister, who's sharing, our other sister sharing with us the panel. And also thank you for the opportunity. To tell you the truth, I was caught off guard. So I came back from a trip yesterday, and saying the coordinator of the panel sent me a message, a flyer, and I saw my name in there as a, one of the speakers, and I was caught off guard, and I talked with him because I thought I was going to help in the translation, the summary of the discussion in translation and stuff. So here we are. So anyway, and I'm glad to be sharing the panel with my seniors, Serin Lamin and Serin Mustafa, and also I'm glad to meet you again, Sokhna Binta, in such August occasions.
It is always a pleasure.
Yes, and to talk. But I didn't know it was going to be a a discussion, a question and answer, because I had prepared a little text that I was going to present, but it is related to the relationship between the sheikh and the disciple, and I chose to talk about the Wolofal tradition, and choosing the example of Saint Musaka. And
one day we will have time to go over it. Like I said, it would be great for us to have a separate platform, because that's also a very important point. That goes to show that we have a very, very, very rich culture, and there are so many facets of the path that requires like our utmost attention for us to have better understanding. So I'm really looking forward to an opportunity where we can change, we can discuss that further. However, I would really like for you to let us know more about who you are, so that we can share that with our viewers, inshallah.
Yes, I'm currently in the communication commission of the Murid Islamic community over here, and I'm also the editor-in-chief of the annual magazine that is published by MICA, the Murid Islamic Community in America. It's the yearly magazine published every year on the occasion of the Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Cultural Weeks. And I also as in that position also I introduce news line in Radio Murid International every Thursday, talking about news, actual news that's going on in the United States and around the world, breaking it down for our Murid community in Wolof. So and also, among other things, also I support other intellectual activities in the community, such as translation and translating works of Murid scholars, such as I was just mentioning the Wolofal writers and so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, what an impressive selection. I would like to congratulate the organization of ANSAR for putting together this wonderful selection of speakers, mashallah. And I definitely understand really the reason behind selecting these great minds in order to discuss this. I would like to real quick give the floor to Serigne Lamine. It seems like I just got a message that Serigne Lamine will have to leave because of some future commitment that he has. Quite honestly, we still would like to have Serigne Lamine here a little bit more, just because you've raised some very interesting questions, Serigne Lamine, that we want to have further. We would like to explore a little bit further. But before we come back to Serigne Lamine, I just want to give Serigne Djibi Diagne the opportunity to catch up upon the conversation and give us a little bit your take of how you understand Sheikhhood in the path of Al-Muridiyya thus far, inshallah.
Thank you very much. It's a very interesting question, and if I can say, I have my beside the core presentation that Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba did in Masalik al-Jinan, which is my reference with regards to Sheikhhood and discipleship. And I think we all ought to go back to the roots, to the sources, in order to have the bigger picture of what Sheikhhood should be. Because we have been like, I heard Serigne Lamine and Serigne Mustafa also pinpoint what are the characteristics of a sheikh with regards to what Serigne Touba, the dimensions, spiritual, esoteric, and exoteric dimension of a sheikh as portrayed in Masalik al-Jinan by the sheikh. So I think needless to say that a sheikh has to abide by all the rules, so to say, which are, the core, at the core of Islamic teaching and the Sunnah the traditions of the Prophet, and also by the teaching of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. Because let's not forget that Muridiya was premised, in a context of a crisis, and where people were very distraught and looking for leadership, and in the heart of Senegal, which is the Bawol and Kayo area. And let's not also forget that the Senegalese tradition and the Wolof tradition has been some of the values coming forth from those tradition has been also blended into what we have today. So, which is the Muridiya is a localized movement and organization that sprung out of all the needs coming from the Wolof people, the peasantry that were very distraught and following the dislocation of all the traditional, kingdoms in Senegal. So there are certain aspects of the relationship between the king and subject that has been transferred with relations to the sheikh. This in the formation of discipleship, of how the disciple should behave and comport him or herself with regards to his sheikh. And there has been a lot of blending of Wolof values, positive values, of course, and mode of operation at the beginning that has facilitated the establishment of leadership and follow and discipleship. And I think a sheikh also, needless to say, should embody the core principles of righteousness, fairness, just to name a few, because it doesn't come to knowing or all the books that relates to to science, theology, fiqh, and needless to say that have you known all those, but you have not into practice put it.
I'm hearing you really. I'm not sure if it's on my side or not. But are you guys having a hard time hearing him as well?
I can hear you.
Hello? Lamin? Hello? Lamin? Can you hear me? Sona Angela? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Binta? Sohna Binta?
Yeah, it's just a little bit low. So I'll have to
adjust the volume.
Well, I don't think it's an issue with the volume. It's more... Okay. All right. I'll have to just... I guess we can carry on. I'll just have to make a little effort into hearing back. But yes, Serin Jimmy, you can carry on. I think just a few minutes so that I can give the floor to Serin Lamin since he has to leave. But you were mentioning something very important as far as the Murid path and as a spiritual journey, and also the inheritance we have in our tradition that are seeping through the Murid path. Another reason yet really for us to focus on put our focus on having a sheikh in order to be able to meet what Serin Lamin and Serin Mustafa said earlier, which is that to be all in line within the jurisdictions and the authenticity, the authentic teachings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that was passed down to these sheikhs that we have, such as Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimul Rasul, who also had that responsibility as a mujaddid, as mentioned by Sir Lamin. So very, very interesting insight.
Yes, and furthermore, but I think in my understanding, we shouldn't be begging for sheikhhood. It's something that is, I think that as long as one is in the path, in the right path, and following the teaching, and putting them into practice, and following all the path that leads to sheikhhood, I think one can, you know, feel or consider himself a sheikh. And and on top of that, if there's any need of that path can be followed more while in Touba, around people who have already had that discipleship.
Allow me to put a segue into a very important point that Serin Lamin raised. I'll come back to that point, Serin Jibijan. Thank you so much, because it is important for us to be able to understand that those same issues we have been facing in Africa and in Senegal, like you said, in the localized version of Al-Muridiya, are also the same issues we are facing all around the world. And Serin Lamin, you mentioned that part of the solution was that the message should be translated as in taking into consideration the language of those who we are bringing the message to and their cultural realities. Can you expand more on that, Serin Lamin?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Jibi Jain, for this brilliant intervention. I just wanted to mention something. Sheikh Ahmad Bamba is unique in his understanding of Islam, in his understanding of the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his implementation of Sunnah. Even up to now, I travel a lot. I travel in Saudi and all those people. But the Muridiya is the more probably one of the best, if not the best, brotherhoods that are more in line with Sunnah than anything else. And I think this is a great achievement from Sheikh Ahmad Bamba. Now, what does it mean? I think we lost to Sohna Binta. Maybe she's going to be back quickly. But I think one of the things we need to learn from Sheikh Ahmad Bamba's teaching is the message of Islam is a universal message, which is across. Okay, I think Sohna Binta is back. Okay, I'm glad you're back, Sohna Binta. I was just saying that it's important to know the dimension of Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, because I was saying that I travel a lot in other countries, but even when I was in Saudi, I spent a lot of days in Medina. I discovered, and a lot of people noticed that also, a lot of knowledgeable people, that the Murid Brotherhood is probably one of the most brotherhoods in line with Sunnah on the planet. But we need to know also that the message of Islam is a message that is universal, that goes across cultures. But Sheikh Ahmad Bamba has been able to differentiate between the message of Islam and the message of Arabic culture. So he taught Islam to the Wolofs in Kajor and Baul and all those people using their customs. He didn't change anything in the Islam. But everything that was Arabic culture, he maintained the Wolof culture. Now, some scholars went on to say that this is a black Islam because, you know, there was influence from the local culture and traditional culture. This is not true. If you go to Touba now, if you talk about Sharia and Ulumuddin, the science of Islam,
Yes.
you have the best scholars. The best scholars in Touba. You find probably the best scholars in the planet. Some students that studies Quran and Islamic sciences that went abroad, they didn't learn a new thing. Even the best ones are the ones that never left here. But Sheikh Ahmad Bamba understood that Islam was a universal religion that encompasses cultures. You could be an Arabic, keep your culture and be a good Muslim. You could be a Wolof and be a good Muslim. And you could be American, Italian and be a good Muslim. But I think one of the challenges we have nowadays is when I go to America and I help Americans become Muslims or become Murids, sometimes I try to impose them the wall of culture. And Sheikh Obama didn't do that because he could teach us Arabic culture while teaching us Islam. He taught us the best Islam, but in all of, Mr. Professor Jibidan just mentioned Sayyid Musaka and all those people. They teach you the authentic Islam. They teach you the traditions, the Sahabas, the life of the prophets, but in Wolof. You have a better understanding in culture. But I think this is one of the challenges. I think this is one of the things Sheikh Murtala was finding very much, that if you go to Italy or you go to Spain or you go to United States, you have to teach Americans to be very good Muslims. But also they are Americans. They cannot be Wolofs or Tupulers or others. And on that also... Go ahead.
Because that brings us now to the question of really the proper approach. Yesterday we had discussion about the successful approach of Sheikh Abdoulaye J in really influencing and helping non-Senegalese join Al-Muridiyya, mashallah. And you went back into that same line to speak about really taking into consideration the cultural reality of where they are. I feel like being here for such a long time allowed me to have a first glance experience on really how the approach is being given, especially here in the United States. What I realized is that we have great potential in some of the sheikhs and the members of the Mbake family and the residents of Touba that have traveled in the United States. However, the fact that most of them did not master the English language was a great hindrance on how the transmission was given. Can you tell me more about what can we do in order to be better successful in transmitting the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadim Rassoul in other languages?
Yes, I think Sheikh Muntaha has understood the message. That's why he's launching the university. That's why he's launching the challenge of knowledge, of learning in the Murid community. I think because the Murid, the Muridiyya is, the Sheikh said in his writings in the beginning, when they told him that you're preparing a jihad, the French colonialists, they tell him, I'm doing a jihad, but I'm doing jihad bil-ulum wa bi-tuqa, using sciences and God. So the Murid community is a community that is spreading Islam with intellect, with knowledge. And I think follow on that. And I think the acts that the Khalif has put forward into putting the university is to bring transformation on that. But I think this should include, on your work, you and GB and all those people in the diaspora. I think you should teach Americans and Senegalese Americans that are born there, because there's a huge population on that on authentic teachings of the Muridiyya of Islam. You should send them, I don't know, maybe in Touba or some other places. But you should do like a training and trainers. But the other phenomenon also.
To your point, Serigne Lamine, I'm sorry to interrupt you there because I know you have to leave and I want to touch upon very important points so that we can get your insight on that. To your point, Serigne Lamine, the training is key, the education is key, but also I heard you mention earlier in your beginning statements that also the sheikh, the spiritual leader who was entrusted into training the other sheikhs, must show satisfaction. Now, I think one of the situations we are dealing here from the West is the fact that we've had people who would come to Touba and what I call spiritual vacations, right? You will come to Touba for 6 months, or you will come to Touba for 3 months, and then suddenly there is another sheikh whom we are not even sure about the chain of authority and how did they achieve the sheikhhood status, who is giving a status of a sheikh to someone else that comes here now to the United States and establish themselves as a sheikh with no way of really, you know, tracing back that chain of authority. So those are some issues that we have here. What can you tell us so that we can be better prepared into recognizing that sheikh that is that has been properly invested as per the leaders of the path have done?
Yes, I think you touched upon that. I think the chain of command should be defined clearly, and I think I mean you need help from the authority of the community from here, from Touba. And I think one of the things Sheikh Murtala was trying to do when he was bringing Imam Basirullah and all those people in the United States. I mean, he had the vision at that time, but the thing we had at that time is the real people that spreads the Murids, the Muridia abroad. First of all, were not necessarily educated people. They were educated. They were people that came there, you know, to make money out of driving or whatever. But since they were grown up in, I mean, in the Murid environment, Americans and Italians could see that they have good values. But I mean, these are the people that spread the Muridia. But after they spread the Muridia, I think the intellectuals should come back and put an infrastructure inside those countries, but from here also, to make sure that we train the right people to head. You know, Mr. Jivijani is from Mika. I think they have a lot of work to do into working on training people, you know, to head the Murids in the community in the US. And also, I think they have to have tighter ties with the Khilafah. And what's happening in the Khilafah, I think the Murid is growing very fast. Some things you have to take initiatives. I think, you know, what I was saying to Sayyid Mustafa, maybe they need to come to the Khalifa and say, hey, the Murid community in the US is spreading very fast. I mean, there's a lot of Native Americans, there's a lot of Senegalese that were born here, and we don't have the proper message. You have, you know, there's some infrastructure that needs to be in there, but maybe you need to get the ball rolling. You need to go, you know, to the Khalifa and discuss it internally and make a proposal. And I'm sure if it arrives on Sheikh Muntaha, something will happen, inshallah.
Absolutely. Very, very good recommendation. Thank you so much. I'm going to allow Sister Angela to give us a summary of what was discussed here this far. But Serigne Lamine, I would really appreciate it if we can still have you for a little bit more, because I have a few more questions before we let you go, and then we'll come to Serigne Jivijani. Serigne Angela,
okay.
Angela, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Sì, quello che è stato, insomma, quello che Serigne Lamine ha detto nel suo ultimo intervento è appunto che ha ribadito il concetto di messaggio universale del nostro Sheikh Ahmad Bamba, che appunto che attraversa le culture e che si incrocia nelle culture diverse in tutto il mondo. E ovviamente anche l'Islam è una religione universale, e quella, diciamo che il suo suggerimento sarebbe quello di di tradurre appunto sarebbe quello di tradurre appunto il messaggio in modo tale che possa avere una diffusione maggiore e ovviamente con l'allenamento, con il training, cioè con la formazione delle persone e con che possono aiutare i nativi e le persone della diaspora appunto a seguire la strada della Muridia.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Sister Angela. Thank you so much for that wonderful translation you have just given us. So, Professor Djibi, you know, Serigne Mustafa, Serigne Lamin really gave us some great insight. And that brings us now to the question of what are the roles of the organizations like Mika or even just individual leaders of the Murid community as they try to send the message beyond the borders of Senegal, mashallah. So can you tell me more about any structural organization that is in place now to help new Murids be able to identify who is properly invested as a sheikh, whether it's in the US or how it is done in Italy? Probably Sister Angela can come to that when it comes to Italy and UK.
Thank you very much. Very important question, and I think Serigne Lamin has addressed some of the questions you're asking. But on a different perspective, we have, as you know, you've been here for so long now, and Serigne Lamin also has been visiting the United States for so long. But the reality is, actually, we are having a lot of hurdles, a lot of issues with regards to where we gotta go, how we gotta do it, when we gonna do it, all those questions, and who's gonna do it. So all those W's questions, who, when, where, what, and why, are still here. And we have been, you know, bringing a lot of input into how things should be done with regards to, for instance, that key idea and concept that is in the Muridia, which is openness and embracing other people's culture. You know, the Murids can move all around the world, you know, and embrace other people's culture. And Serigne Lamin was just mentioning it, he was giving his example, but we Murids, we always try to push our own culture on other people. Why should we? That is a big hurdle, and that is always what's keeping other people who join the Murid community, what keeps them away or aloof from you know, the community, and we should work on that. Second, also, we have had for a very long time a lot of Murid disciples living here who have a very low understanding of the rapport, cultural, you know, sensitivity. We need lessons in cultural sensitivity, and we need also lessons in openness. We are open people, that we embrace everybody, but we are not. We have to accept other people as who they are. And I was talking with the other day, Serigne Mbaye, and he was telling me how they operate in Italy. You know, how they can create a group and let them handle all the with regards to organizing and co-opting other people in their group. They have to handle it 100%. They don't even intervene. Maybe they can give them the basic mode of operations or what they need to do with that is related to how it is done Islamically. But the rest, they operate on their own. And that's, I think, what we should be doing, and not be imposing our own way of operating, our own way of thinking. No, that's not going to work that way. And we have not been successful into, you know, overcoming that hurdle. The other thing, the other point I would like to address, and is how should we, how can we achieve or be successful in training, or our children who are born here into the Murid culture and Islam, through Murid culture and the teachings of the Sheikh. So there are so many people now, or actors on the scene everywhere, who are always trying, because there is the will there, and there is the will, there is a determination, but they lack the resources. So we have many tools who are so to speak, actors on the field, but they don't have the resources. The resources should stem first from education, instruction, knowing the Islamic culture, knowing the Murid culture, and all those. You don't have to be a scholar, in order to teach, but you have to at least know the basic minimum. And if you are abroad, or if you're in the diaspora, you have to know the basic minimum, which is like master the language of the country, because you're conveying the message not to the Murids themselves, who understand it, who know it, but you are trying to co-opt or to get other people interested in the message of Islam through Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. And the basic minimum is, at least you can at least formulate or articulate a thought or an idea through the language of the host country. And those are the main issues that we have not overcome yet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you know what? I'm so glad that we are sharing it here, because as we move forward, definitely ANSAR will take notice. And then, just like they have, they made a report that was meant to be given to the leaders of the community. These points that are being raised here will definitely go into those reports, so that we can have the proper follow-up we need. But Serigne Lamine, as we talk about now we are able to see...
Allô, salam alaikum. Excuse me. Oui, c'est Professeur Galay here.
Hey, professeur, ça va?
Ça va, tout va bien. Est-ce que vous pouvez prendre Gora maintenant, parce qu'il doit nous quitter pour... Oui, Gora est en ligne, s'il vous plaît.
On n'a pas vu Gora. Il y a un Gora ici?
Oui, Gora Diop, il est là. Tu peux ouvrir ton micro, Gora?
Merci de nous avoir fait part de ça, mais
oui,
malheureusement...
Il doit absolument quitter. Je suis vraiment désolé. Voilà.
Merci. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Monsieur Gora, vraiment on est désolé. J'avais pas, vous n'étiez pas visible devant moi. Je sais pas, do you speak English? Ce sera un peu compliqué parce que je sais pas trop.
C'est mieux, pour moi, c'est mieux de parler français, mais comme Serigne Lamine il est là et il devait partir, je pense qu'on lui redonner la parole pour qu'il termine. Je pense que c'est dans l'ordre des choses et des priorités, quoi. Donc voilà.
Merci beaucoup, Serigne Gora. Comme il doit partir, je vais terminer avec lui juste une minute, et ça me fera vraiment plaisir d'avoir votre point de vue sur les points essentiels qu'on a touchés ici, à savoir le rôle du Cheikh, Inch'Allah. Merci, Serigne Gora. Donc, Serigne Lamine, I'm going to come to you real quick as we speak. Now we are able to see the challenges that are happening here. And I think hearing from you, Serigne Lamine, it is essential nowadays for us to keep in mind the cultures of the countries where the message is going, but allow for them to build their own self-efficiency and self-sustainability as far as carrying the message of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba. However, we still are lacking the proper organization that is necessary for us to say that such and such person has been properly invested as a sheikh. The reason why I'm insisting upon that, Serigne Lamine, is that we've seen instances where people have declared themselves sheikh in the West, sheikhs within the path that do not report to the General Caliph. They do not report to anyone that we have known. So technically, there is no way of us verifying, the authority, the chain of authority, the veracity of the chain of authority. And to now, what do you tell a disciple who, out of the love they have for Serigne Touba, took bayat, but that's where it stops, really. The sheikh that is here in the US is where it stops. Should we have continuity all the way to the authentic teachings of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba through Touba, or is it just enough for us to have a sheikh that is in the US and just keep it in the US, or Italy per se? You probably would like to unmute yourself. I'm not sure if that's the issue. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's the issue. I had muted my microphone. I say I'm very sorry to leave now because the debate is getting very interesting, and I'm sorry I didn't have an opportunity to be here when Mr. Gorodop will be speaking. But also I thank Mr. Djibidiagne for his intervention. He said some very interesting things, but I discovered there's a lot of challenges the people on the diaspora are facing right now. I think what's autoproclaiming Sheikh is something terrible that is happening in the community, and it can lead, if you look at the future, it can be disastrous in the future, because the message of the Sheikh can be spoiled, can be, interpreted differently, and it could mean a lot of things differently. But I think maybe altogether we need to do a better work into spreading the right message. Absolutely. I think at this point that's all we can do. I mean, if Mr. Djibidiagne and his colleagues, all the people, all the leaders, they have the channels to spread the right message, I think people will differentiate. People who want to follow the bad path will follow, but people who are intended to follow Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, if they know this is the authentic message, they can make the difference. I mean, those who will disqualify themselves, or they will know that this is different from the Muridiya. But I think for that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'm sure those people are doing it in the diaspora. But also I think most of the work now should be done between the link between all those organizations, the Mika, Seigne Mamor, Seigne Mustafa Fatim, and the Khalif and the Khilaf. I think the tie has the bond has to be stronger. The tie has to be stronger. I think probably you guys need to have some round tables and discuss what propositions you could bring to the Khalifa. I mean, using whoever, Seigne Mamor or Sheikh Mustafa Fatima, or your own self, or the Dairas or whatever. But I think the problem is not to be blamed on the diaspora, on the Khilaf, or on us. I think the fact of the matter is the community is growing very fast, but I'm not sure we have put in place the infrastructure to control the growth, to make sure the authentic message of the Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba is being the education, because everything is education, everything is training. Like Mr. Djibidiagne saying, it's training and training the trainers. I think if the proper channels, the proper infrastructure is put in place between the Khilafah and then the diaspora to make that education, because the problem with the Sheikh is, if you go from a Western standpoint, you think Sheikh is like, you go to the clergy, you go to Vatican, they appoint somebody. It's not that the same thing in Islam. Like Sheikh Mustafa Fatima said earlier, some Sheikhs don't even know they are appointed Sheikh. Yes. They did tarbiyah, and then they realize they're satisfied with they have the ngaram, they have the satisfaction of the Sheikh. And since they have the behavior, the right behavior, naturally people come to them.
Naturally people will follow, because they can see the Sheikh in them.
And his Sheikh will direct also people to them, because I don't have time to train everybody. But if you go to him, you'll have my training. But it's not something stone, or I don't see that in the future the Sheikh Muntaha will write that this person is appointed Sheikh or not. This is a misconception between cultures. Absolutely. But I think by
spread the right message, and do the right training, and then if that is done, I mean, the rest, you know, will take care of itself.
Understand. Very interesting, mashallah. Thank you so much. We are very grateful to have you. We really don't have enough of it, but hopefully we'll be able to follow up with you on another platform, Serigne Lamine Mbacké. Again, our thanks from all the ANSAR community. And I would like to let Sister Angela to share with you a few parting words before we allow you.
Ok, sì, il messaggio di Serigne Lamine è molto chiaro, nel senso è stato chiesto come riconoscere un vero sheikh, nel senso una persona che possa guidare i murid della diaspora nei vari paesi del mondo, e appunto il suo messaggio è stato chiaro nel appunto proporre di fare una giusta traduzione di quello che è il messaggio di Abdou Bamba, come ricollegandosi a quello che è stato detto prima. Quindi lui praticamente il suo pensiero è legato al fatto di una giusta educazione, soprattutto nelle nuove generazioni, perché ovviamente sono quelle anche su cui si punta in tutti i paesi, in America come in Italia, dare appunto la giusta educazione e la giusta traduzione del messaggio, perché molto spesso insomma si ha difficoltà nella traduzione e soprattutto nel passaggio tra culture, che purtroppo è ancora un impedimento, diciamo, non insormontabile, ma comunque insomma che rende le cose non semplici. E quindi insomma questo è quello, in breve, quello che è stato detto.
Mashallah, mashallah. Thank you so much, Sohna Angela Mambu. So we're going to be wrapping up real quick the first session of this forum, but I would like to welcome Serigne Gora Diop. Bonjour, salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, Serigne Gora. J'ai du mal à vous voir maintenant, mais j'espère que vous m'entendez très bien.
Ça va, je vous entends. Donc, voilà.
Mais on veut...
ok, Serigne Gora. Je vois que je vais vous donner juste quelques moments pour vous introduire, Serigne Gora. J'espère que vous nous appelez de la France, ou bien vous êtes dans quel pays?
Je suis plutôt en France.
En
donc,
France,
voilà, pour faire simple, c'est que voilà, depuis que je suis arrivé en France, je suis un peu engagé, ou même beaucoup dans le service de l'islam par les enseignements de Serigne Touba. Donc, je suis actuellement à Paris et j'œuvre beaucoup, je suis très engagé et fais partie quand même de l'équipe qui travaille pour le centre islamique de Taverny, donc à Paris. Et donc, c'est ce que je peux dire. Après l'aspect personnel ou individuel, j'ai un parcours universitaire et puis un peu dans l'éducation et la formation.
Masha'Allah, merci beaucoup vraiment de nous avoir fait part de ta présence ici. Comme on est en train de discuter le thème, le rôle du cheikh dans le mouridisme et le rôle aussi, les caractéristiques d'un disciple. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire à propos des challenges vraiment qui se passent maintenant à travers le monde, en particulier en Europe et en France, en ce qui concerne la compréhension du rôle du cheikh mouride dans la diaspora?
Donc, peut-être je vais assez vite poser quelques éléments de ce fait. Voilà, ça nourrira la discussion, mais comme je n'ai pas aussi beaucoup de temps après pour réagir ou discuter, donc aller sur ce qui a été dit, quoi. Donc, qui émane beaucoup des textes, voilà, et des livres. et qui restent quand même des références puisque c'est puisé du Coran, comme a parlé Seigne Moustapha et Seigne Lamine. Donc, et même, voilà, professeur Dibi, donc, sur des textes vraiment de référence, des écrits du Cheikh pour Kalbouka et autres. Donc, pour définir ou donner les caractéristiques du Cheikh et même éventuellement du disciple. Donc, ce qu'il faut dire aussi que l'allégeance est très imbriquée dans la relation entre marabout et disciple. Et donc, comme nous, on va dire, on a quitté le Sénégal. Donc, dire à un moment donné que la relation marabout-talibé ou disciple a changé, quoi. Donc, dans les débuts, il y avait un compagnonnage, il y avait une proximité entre le disciple et le marabout. Et donc, de ce compagnonnage-là, beaucoup de choses se passaient. Et donc, il y avait une relation qui était directe, voilà, et que ces liens-là, ces liens, c'était un lien de compagnonnage, d'éducation. Il y avait un parcours de dépouillement et d'élevation, quoi. Et donc, ça a nécessité une proximité. Et comme disait Seigne Lamine, Serigne Touba, quand il n'avait pas le temps, il déléguait à d'autres. Parce qu'il avait déjà formé des gens qui étaient déjà aguerris, quoi. Donc, période de crise dont parlait le professeur Dibidiane, donc les gens quittent le Baol, quoi. Donc, déjà, on est en milieu urbain, on essaie de se regrouper, mais il y a plus de tolo à la contribution aussi qui faisait aussi une vie en communauté, une dynamique. Et donc, tout ça, on le perd en partant en ville. La ville, il y a des formes de regroupement qu'on va retrouver là-bas, des formes de regroupement qui sont des daïras urbains, daïras de même marabout, daïras de même famille, après de corps de métier, quoi. Et de l'Afrique, on bascule vers l'Europe. Donc, on vient maintenant, cette relation qui était cette relation de proximité, elle est distendue. Donc, tout ce qui faisait le compagnonnage, où il y avait un entraînement qui se faisait, et on passait quand même du dépouillement à l'élevation, cette possibilité maintenant, elle est pas complètement rompue, mais elle est rompue quand même. Et donc, qu'est-ce qui arrive entre allégeance? Allégeance, c'est un aspect qui est intime et qui est personnel. Donc, voilà. Et que c'est un engagement qui est personnel vis-à-vis. Et ça existe toujours. Mais le rapport entre marabout et disciple, il a beaucoup changé avec comment dirais-je, avec l'exode et puis plus tard les migrations. Donc, moi, ce que je peux dire par rapport à allégeance, les chers et tout ça, je fais une transposition. Ce lien-là qui devait être permanent, ce lien qui était de proximité et d'élevation, comment est-ce qu'on le retrouve maintenant en migration? C'est-à-dire, là, c'est peut-être aller dans le patrimoine, essayer de faire aussi, comment dirais-je, œuvre de réflexion. C'est-à-dire, Serigne Mourtada, il arrive, il sait que on a une périodicité du séjour, il instaure, il nous recommande, il nous conseille, et même, voilà, il nous recommande d'avoir des structures. Voilà, des structures qu'on va appeler des Kër Serigne Touba ou Kër l'Islam. Qu'importe, mais lui, c'est cette dénomination-là. Donc, après, si on remonte un peu dans l'histoire, 1915 ou 1917, Serigne Touba a répondu à des questions du gouverneur, où il parlait de la mouridia, il parlait de c'est qui les mourides, et ils sont où les chers. Donc, c'est à peu près une quinzaine de questions où il répondait vraiment, c'est quoi la mouridia. Islam parle, Iman parle tawhid, Islam parle fiqh et l'Iman parle tasawwuf. Donc, c'est un peu pour dire l'aspect les choses dont on a parlé sur l'universalité du message. Des fois, même nous, pour aller un peu plus loin, on dit que quand on parle d'une mission divine, pour arriver à l'agrément de Dieu ou à la proximité divine, on a un projet divin. On n'est pas que dans l'universel. Donc voilà, c'est tout ce parcours, des fois dans la réflexion qu'il faut avoir. De Serigne Touba, c'était une mission divine, donc qui part de Dieu et qui retourne à Dieu. Donc après, il y a cette conséquence-là, il y a une conséquence qu'on peut tirer, c'est que le message il peut être universel parce qu'il est dépositaire d'une mission. Donc là, c'est un peu pour parler un peu entre l'allégeance et comment est-ce que les rapports marabout-talibés, ils ont changé. Donc, peut-être aller maintenant sur la mouridia pour dire, en fait, de manière pratique, comment est-ce que nous, on peut vivre la mouridia. On peut dire que avec l'époque
avec le temps, comme Serigne Mourtada a institué des centres islamiques de Kër Serigne Touba, on est passé d'une communauté à une institution. Et cette institution, elle a une dimension qui est administrative maintenant, qui est éducative, sociale et politique. Et tout ça, il faut l'assumer. Et donc, tout ça, ça se traduit par un ancrage qui est très pratique et permanent. C'est un ancrage qui est pratique. Cet ancrage pratique, comment est-ce qu'on le retrouve? Ancrage pratique qui aspire à la responsabilisation, à la respectabilité et à la reconnaissance. Et pour ça, en tant qu'institution, voilà, au niveau un instant, au niveau administratif ou institutionnel, ça va se traduire par les relations qu'on va avoir avec les institutions communales, préfectorales, et aussi au niveau des associations islamiques. Donc, on est appelé à participer au vivre ensemble, c'est-à-dire aux invitations et tout ça. Au niveau académique et scientifique, comment est-ce que ça... Parce que la Mouridia, elle devient une institution. C'est plus une individualité ou une communauté qui se regroupe et qui est dans l'entre-soi. Donc, comment est-ce que nous... Voilà, comment est-ce qu'on travaille? Et ça rejoint peut-être ce qu'on a dit tout à l'heure sur les problématiques. Vous dites diaspora, mais de la communauté de la voie mouride. Donc, puisque les mourides peuvent ne plus représenter une diaspora parce que c'est des gens qui sont nés dans les territoires respectifs, on va dire. Moi, ma fille, qui naît ici, est-ce qu'elle est de la diaspora? C'est quelqu'un qui est né ici et donc il y aura... comment dirais-je, une représentation de la religion ou de la Mouridia autrement. Comment est-ce qu'on va, comment on a dit, avoir des relations de partenariat avec peut-être les instituts, l'université pour avoir des moments de formation ou des gens qui viennent aussi en délégation pour former les gens qui sont ici en responsabilité. Donc, au niveau éducatif, voilà, au niveau éducatif.
Oui.
Serigne Gora?
Oui.
Vraiment, merci beaucoup. Moi-même, vraiment, forgive me because my French is not that good. Mais vraiment, on a eu de la chance de vous avoir ici parce que vous avez vraiment dénoté des points qui sont essentiels et ça nous a permis aussi de bien comprendre les détails qui sont dans par exemple, les besoins de la diaspora qui sont différents des besoins de Mourid qui est à Touba ou bien même les réalités sont aussi différentes. Donc, ce que je vois, c'est qu'il y a cet aspect de compagnonnage dont vous avez parlé, qui est quelque chose qui est essentiel dans la vie du disciple par rapport à son cheikh, qui n'est pas présent chez les mourides de la diaspora, mais j'aurais bien aimé aussi, avant qu'on termine, parce qu'on a que 10 minutes pour terminer, et j'aimerais rendre la parole à monsieur Djibi Diagne et Sokhna Angela. Mais pour une dernière question, très rapidement, est-ce que vous pouvez me dire s'il y a des solutions que vous avez vues qu'on peut implémenter pour essayer de remplir ce vide, si on peut dire, qui se trouve entre le disciple et le cheikh qui est dans le diaspora? Ou bien même s'il y a des littératures, parce que chez Ahmadou Bamba nous avait dit que si vous ne me voyez plus, essayez de vous attacher à mes écrits, parce que mes écrits peuvent être une source de guidance et de formation pour le disciple qui est à distance. Donc, quelles sont les mesures qui ont été prises par rapport comme exemple en France, dont on peut prendre comme exemple?
Peut-être très rapidement, juste prendre un exemple, c'est-à-dire que l'indication, l'orientation, recommandation de Serigne Mourtada. C'est-à-dire que quand on a des structures sur place, des structures qui peuvent être des relais, qui peuvent être des centres de formation, qui peuvent être aussi un tremplin, une passerelle par rapport au pays haut, quoi. Donc, je veux dire, c'est extrêmement important de valoriser ces centres islamiques que Serigne Touba en donnant de la force à tous les volets éducatifs, volets social, volets religieux et volets institutionnels ou volets politiques, quoi. Parce qu'on a une force, on a un message qui doit participer au changement du monde. C'est-à-dire que Serigne Touba, où l'islam est venu avec un message qui est, on va dire, clair et plein. On est dans un monde où où il y a tellement de pertes d'autorité, de repères, et on ne sait même plus où on va. Donc, si on a un discours ou un projet qui est clair, c'est-à-dire qu'il faut quand même l'assumer, quoi. Et donc, au niveau, que ce soit éducatif, que ce soit au niveau religieux, que ce soit au niveau politique, pas politique politicienne, mais c'est être présent, c'est accompagner, c'est être à l'écoute, c'est aussi partager, quoi. C'est la bienveillance, c'est l'empathie, c'est aussi la miséricorde qu'on doit apporter, quoi. Et donc, je pense que c'est la parole quand même du chef, parce que il est dépositaire d'un message d'équilibre et de miséricorde. Et donc, nous, on doit transmettre, on doit vivre ça et transmettre ça. Donc, voilà, faut donner de la valeur au cœur Serigne Touba, parce que Serigne Mourtada, il peut pas, quand il dit quelque chose, quand il fait quelque chose, quand il aussi appuie ses centres, c'est aussi voir que ça peut être une solution, puisqu'il dit, le nom qu'il donne à tout le monde, c'est Jamia Tahawuni ala tahatillahi wa rasoul. Donc, c'est tous les musulmans, c'est inclusif, c'est participatif. Donc, moi,
merci beaucoup. Vraiment,
je m'arrête là.
Vraiment, ça a été un plaisir. Nous espérons vous retrouver sur d'autres plateaux. Monsieur Gora Diop de la France qui vient de nous joindre avec des interventions très, très, très pertinentes, mashallah. Sohna Mambuso Angela, I'm not sure, we did not discuss the French portion. Is it something that you can translate in?
Yeah, you know, I'm not so good in French, so I just grabbed some sentences about this, so I can translate. I mean, if you can help me just to in a little few words, you can help me with his French version.
So you can. Brother Gora Diop, who is joining us from France, is also someone who's been involved with the work of the Murid community in France for a while now. He's currently in Paris, and he is also engaged in working with the University of Taverny there. I think it's the Qaça'id Touba of Taverny, where he's currently engaging in his khidmah. But the main point that he really spoke about is the fact that in terms of the relationship between a sheikh and the disciple, there is this aspect of companionship that is required, that the sheikh really needs to be up close with the disciple in order to be able to know some of the flaws or to be able to better train the disciple and guide the disciple. So companionship is very important. So according to Brother Serigne Gora Diop, one of the key challenges that we have, especially in France and all throughout the diaspora, is the fact that due to the distance, there is a lot of void, there is a big gap in the communication aspect where the sheikhs can be able to see the realities of the disciples and guide them accordingly. So one of my question to him was, what kind of solutions do you propose? Are there any examples we can see from the French Murids of the diaspora that we can use in other parts of the world? So his answer to that is that yes, there are some solutions that he will propose to us, and some of the solutions could be really strengthening the Qaça'id Toubas, the houses of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Khadimou Rassoul throughout the world. But most importantly, it is more about institutionalize the system, the organizational structure of Al-Muridiyya. And how should we do that is more about giving more importance into what are the programs that we have that should, like exchange programs coming from Touba and going to the other parts of the world in order to bring the authentic teachings of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, training programs like it was mentioned by Serigne Lamine Mbake, but also given a political aspect of it, not politics as usual, but the diplomatic aspect of the politics. For example, I know that there are areas where we can have religious diplomacy, where people will be sent in different parts of the world in order to help those Senegalese people or the new Murids for them to be able to better enjoy the freedom that they have to worship and and really live the culture, the teachings of the Sheikh as much as they can, with the support of the institutions in Touba. So in a nutshell, really, that's what Brother Gora said. I'm not sure if I missed something, but that's what I understood from his
Okay. Ok, so I'm going to translate. Quindi alla nostra riunione si è unito il nostro fratello Gora, che ha dato, lui viene dalla Francia e appunto si è unito alla conversazione, ha parlato in francese e praticamente ha parlato del rapporto che bisogna avere con tra appunto lo sheikh e il discepolo, istituzionalizzando quello che è diciamo la scala gerarchica della muridia, in modo tale da avere anche delle istituzioni che possono tutelare i murid nella diaspora e i nuovi entrati, i nuovi musulmani murid. In questo modo c'è ovviamente, oltre il training e oltre, diciamo, la formazione che è stata diciamo è stata menzionata prima dal nostro fratello Serin Lamin, bisognerebbe oltre appunto la formazione c'è bisogno anche, insomma, di istituzionalizzare, secondo il nostro fratello Gora Job, di istituzionalizzare la scala gerarchica della muridia, in modo tale da dare delle posizioni e in modo tale da poter aiutare nel modo migliore possibile i nostri fratelli murid nella diaspora.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Sister Angela. As we're ending this session of ANSAR Forum, the International Forum on the diaspora, I would like to really thank you, Sister Angela, for all this amazing work you've been doing. But I want to give the floor to Jibi, and as he's going to answer the last question of the forum, inshallah, and then after that we will just have to do our prayer for ending this session, inshallah. Serin Jibi, we've had a lot of echo coming from different participants, and the main one of the key points that keeps returning back is the role of the Qaça'id Toubas in helping to keep the authentic teachings of the Sheikh, but also facilitate the transmission of the message, and help us identify the Sheikhhood, and some of the key characteristics of the Sheikhhood, and bring it to our new members of Al-Muridiya. What can you really quick tell me in about maybe 2 minutes, and then as we end this session, about the role that the Qaça'id Toubas are making now, playing now in order to help in this field? You probably will need to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, and a very important question that is that goes back to the central, to the core idea of how in our plans to expand Muridiya, it comes back always to the Qaça'id Touba, because that's the heart and the powerhouse of where everything is coming from, and from where everything is springing and gushing forth. So they play an important role. So just as Serin Gora mentioned, Muridiya is no longer a community gathering or socio-religious gathering like a daira anymore. We shouldn't be operating at that level in abroad. Even today, like Serin Gora was saying, we have to view the Muridiya as an organization. First, it's not only because we are in the abroad that we should think of institutionalizing the Muridiya. The Muridiya has been an institution since inception. When the Muridiya was born, it was already an institution, because a lot of people from different backgrounds, from different needs, from different aspirations get together around Serigne Touba and his lieutenants. And Serigne Gora talked about delegation, that the leadership style of delegation that Serigne Touba developed. And also he talked about this participation, this participative leadership style. All those are leadership styles that we have to, be aware of, instead of only thinking right now the Muridiya.
I'm sorry. Yes. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because it helps us really get a nutshell of what needs to be done. However, before we leave real quickly, I wanted to get a glimpse of what has been done this far by the Serigne Touba, such as Mika or something, in order to help us address these challenges.
I mean, the same. Mika in the past has been playing a role into, helping the guide or train children of American Murids. It has been successful, but that was also something because it was during the days of Serigne Murtada, and we have to still go back to the ndigal of Serigne Murtada in order to realize or achieve what we are facing, most of the challenges we are facing today with regards to educating our kids in Islam through the teaching of Serigne Touba. So the leadership in every Serigne Touba right now has to go back to the basics, which is the ndigal of Serigne Murtada, which was we have to adapt to the realities of the country here and not just operate as if we were in Senegal in the daira mode of modus operandi. And we haven't been successful into doing that. And we have still those issues to fix or those obstacles to overcome in order to successfully convey the message of Islam through the teaching of Serigne Touba. And it has to be a participative leadership style. It has to be an inclusive leadership style from the leadership in Serigne Touba.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Serigne Djibi Jagne. Thank you, Sana Angela. Right now, we are reaching the end of our time, and it was a pleasure to have you all. We would like to thank Serigne Lamine Mbacké, Ibn Serigne Thierno, Ibn Mam Thierno. We would like to also thank Serigne Moustapha Mbacké Gaynde Fatma and Serigne Gora Diop for also participating in this beautiful platform. This is what we had for ANSAR's International Forum on the Diaspora, and the topic was the sheikhs, the characteristics of the sheikhs, the characteristics of a disciple and their relationship from one to another, mashallah. We thank everyone for following us, and hopefully we'll join you in the second session soon after. That will start from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Italy time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
حسبي الله